No.
So
Okay, I'm gonna go live. So let's
However, there was this lady, Kathleen
hey,
Odom.
hang on a minute, Beans. You don't understand. That's one thing we got to resolve. You keep talking when we go live. We got to go live and then
Stop talking.
Stop
this
talking.
This is the No Talking Pork and Bean Show. All right.
No talking for 50
Meditate.
seconds.
but I don't know sign language. So
Yeah. Meeting is being.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Pork and Bean Show. My name is Port Cunningham.
Meeting is
And I'm here with my distinguished, honorable co-host. Welcome to the Pork and Bean Show. Uh-oh. My name is... I screwed up already. Let's try this again. Let's try this again.
Wonder why the echo. Is it a Zoom thing?
No, I had my other sound on. Oh boy, we got people wanting to come in. Okay, but I'll introduce the show first. Hello, everybody. My name is Port Cunningham, and I'm here with my honorable, distinguished co-host, the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Baines.
Meeting is greeting.
And we're here today, joined by a special guest, Robin McCRAY, and it looks like we got a couple interlopers that want to stop.
We want interlopers. Everybody in the whole peanut gallery is welcome to come on.
Anybody who's not part of the three of us here is in the peanut gallery, and they're interlopers.
Oh, there's Pat and Mike Colantano.
But we like interlopers.
Pat is helping someone, and so I don't know if he'll make it on or not. Hey, Kevin.
That doesn't look like Kevin. That looked like a Hollywood makeover version of you.
Yeah, it is.
Because you're definitely not that good looking.
I know.
What's going on with your haircut?
I just got out of the shower, dude. Leave me alone.
You look like one of those
50s greasers, buddy.
You look, yeah. Somebody from a 60s TV show, like My Three Sons or something. Haircut.
There is one of the forest people that I'm really close with, and he's like walked up to me before, and I don't know how they do it. His hair, it was like looking at Fonzie from Happy Days. It was all greased back like that. I swear to God, it was crazy. And I was like, he had hair all over his face. There was not one part of his body that didn't have hair, eyebrows, eyelashes, everything in his ears. And it was all this short hair. But when it came to his head, it was greased back like Kevin's. But it was like straight back. It was like Arthur Fonzarelli. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was like really close to him, so I could see absolutely everything. I was just stunned.
Yeah, but with a Sasquatch, that's cool. When Kevin does it, it's just wrong.
Kevin, you're wearing a Hawaiian shirt, man. What? You're wearing a Hawaiian shirt and you're grinning. You're just gonna stick a knife in it, stick a fork in it, and throw a little salt on there. This guy goes to Hawaii once a year, man. He goes to Hawaii and puts all these pictures of the beach and smiling faces. I don't know. It's like trying to rub it in.
I wanted to go to Hawaii. That's on my bucket list. One of my bucket lists. I've only got like 3 or 4 places I want to go, but Colorado is one.
Hey, Deb, I'm so glad you showed up so you could. Your camera's not on, but that's cool.
Her volume isn't on either, so we can just see her name. She's kind of here in spirit.
Oh, she's here name only.
Maybe she's just listening.
No, she's trying to connect the audio.
Oh, there she is.
Well, anyway, Kevin, I hate to rain in your parade. My wife is there for 2 months, so your holiday's over, and
I know. Hey, let me just tell you, coming back, it took me a full 3 days to readjust to the reality that I live in Washington State, where the sun isn't super strong. By the time September rolls around, it's already gone down a bit. It gets dark earlier, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, but
I bet it's beautiful there, though.
But Sue said, like I said, she's there for 2 months, helping out her daughter, who's a school teacher. So she's watching her granddaughter and stuff, and and plus also enjoying the holiday. But she said that it's 80 degrees every day and 70 degrees at night. There's no weather change. I'm not so sure I would like that.
I think that after a year, I'd get bored, and I think you would too.
Mm-hmm.
And the other reason why you get bored is because, last time I was there, we went out into nature quite a bit. And I received glyphs in nature, but it wasn't from our Sasquatch friends. It was from whatever beings it is that live on the Hawaiian Islands, because I know that they're not, our Sasquatch friends aren't there apparently.
No,
Maybe
I don't
they-
agree with that. But
Okay.
okay, but go ahead, go ahead.
I've talked to several people that live in Hawaii, and they have them there. I don't know
excellent.
whether, yeah.
Yeah, the little ones, the wahinis.
I'm trying
Yeah,
to
the
think,
Wahinis. That is actually true. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who it was.
Hawaii, the land of the grass skirt and the lawnmower.
A friend of Susan, mine, knows a lady. No, I can't think of her name. Oh boy. But anyway, she is from Hawaii and has had connections with Sasquatch there. But yeah, but I mean, when people talk about Sasquatch reports or whatever, they do say that every state has had them except Hawaii. But I do believe they're there. So you're kind of right.
Yeah, I don't give out anybody's names, but yeah, I have a friend of mine, and she's just the sweetest thing ever, and that's where she lives, and they're there. And even prior to her, I had talked to, I want to say, about 3 or 4 other people besides her that said, they don't believe they're here, but we've got photos of them here.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
So before I rudely interrupted you, Kevin, which is what I really live for, what were you saying? What were you saying about the glyphs and other beings?
Oh, I was going to say, the only reason why you wouldn't like it is because the Sasquatch, your clan is not there. But that could be wrong. That was a wrong statement.
No, you were talking
They
about
can
glyphs and
bebop
other
over it.
beings or something.
Oh, well, yeah. The like Michael said, there's small people that live on the island that are well known, and because I was under the impression that our Sasquatch friends weren't there, I assumed the glyphs that I got, and I got the pie glyph that is their favorite one to give me several times actually on the trail. Anyway, I assumed it was the little people welcoming me to Hawaii. Could be wrong.
Well, I
But
think
it
that
could
all
be
these,
too,
I think
because
that all
they're there
these,
too.
I think all these elementals are all kind of connected because they're a higher kind of vibration, so that they can probably all connect with you in something in a symbol that you're going to understand.
Right.
See, if you just had some friend who was a psychic, who could tune into these kind of things, then
Robin.
maybe we could find out.
Do we
If
know
we only
anybody
had a
like that?
psychic who was tuned, spiritually attuned.
I don't know.
Robin, do you know anybody like that?
I don't know. I can do my best. I don't know. If not, I'll have to find you somebody. Okay, what I get is, number one, you do have little people that follow you around.
Are you talking to me?
So
Yeah.
so you
That's
do
all about
have
you,
them when
Jeff.
you're there.
Yeah,
There
I
are
know.
Sasquatch there, and they have seen you there. I don't think that they follow you as tightly around as the little people,
Not
but they
anymore.
have. Yeah, but there are definitely little people. The pie thing on the trail, I'm more inclined to believe that's from a Sasquatch.
Yeah,
It
right.
has than the little people, but you do have a closer connection to the little people when you're there. Like, they literally will come, and I'm sure you've noticed different things that have happened where you're staying. That
Yes.
is all little people.
Well, that's cool, actually.
It is.
We like your
It
haircut.
really is.
No, we don't. He looks like he looks like Jerry
Kevin
Mathers,
show?
actually. That's it, Jerry Mathers.
I do not. You can
You
just
do.
knock that right off.
I know. It's not the pork and bean show. It's the Pick on Kevin show.
Well, that's the only reason why he invites me.
So you were nodding your head, Kevin, when Robin was telling you about that. So what happened that you noticed?
For the little people?
I guess, or whatever. Yeah.
So this last trip, we actually took the whole family, and honestly, my attention was okay. Not to air dirty laundry or anything, but going to Hawaii with your spouse is one thing, but taking your entire family and all the attendant drama that goes along with that's an entirely different thing. And so this last trip, I actually had more interaction with sea turtles than I did with the little people that I know of or the Sasquatch. But our last trip there a year ago, when it was just me and my wife, oh my gosh, I was getting interaction everywhere. We went up hiking in bamboo forest, and I got the stick breaks, and I got things thrown, and I got lifts, and I got the energy wash.
Okay, Kevin, was it the bamboo that was broken? Because they're showing me what looks to me like wicker, but it could be bamboo.
I honestly don't know.
Okay,
because I
they
didn't
keep
actually
showing me. They keep showing pictures of it's either it could be bamboo. It's right around that color, and it actually is more like a bamboo rod. I just never thought bamboo. I just thought wicker.
Yeah.
But they keep showing me something about wicker.
And anyway, it was a fantastic experience, and I was absolutely shocked to find the same energy and the same kind of interaction in Hawaii as I do in Washington State. It was different, don't get me wrong, but it was very similar, and it was very welcoming. It was very positive. I really enjoyed it.
They like you everywhere.
You know, I've had an interaction in every state I've been in.
Yeah. The thing is once they get attracted to you, it's like this big white beacon of light that goes up, like, you know, when Batman gets the bat signal. It's just kind of like, hey, we like this person. We know this person. He's okay with us. And it happens it doesn't matter where you go.
I think that's true, except for Brian.
I think the state you probably had your most contact with, Kevin, is the state of confusion.
Oh, 100%. That's true. I don't have answers. I just experience it and keep going.
Yep.
Oh boy. So did you have a good holiday though?
Oh my gosh. You know, even with the drama of family, Hawaii is one of my favorite places to go. Literally, I spent 2 days on the North Shore at it's actually colloquially known as Turtle Beach, but I don't remember the name of the actual name of the beach. But at about 11 o'clock in the morning, all the green sea turtles come, and they're feeding on the kelp that grow in the shallow volcanic rocks. And so at first I was really excited last year, and I just felt so honored and just in awe of the whole thing. This year when we went, they took it up a notch, because I wasn't trying to interact with them. I just went out into the water up to about my neck, because it was hot. It was 90 degrees there. They were having a little minor heat wave. And I had 5-6 sea turtles swimming all around me. One of them came and kneecapped me and knocked me over. And you're not supposed to touch them, right? And so I'm actually doing, because there's like a $10,000 fine if you're touching the turtles. And so that's a lot of money. I don't feel like spending $10,000. I already spent enough on the vacation. Anyway, so I'm standing there 2 days in a row, basically just interacting with these turtles, avoiding them, having them swim around me, knocking me over. And one of them slapped my son-in-law's butt. It was hilarious. So yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it. Brian, it's to you.
Brian, you're the host.
Yeah, you're the host. You're on mute.
Yeah, I know. But why is it that when I can't get a word in edgewise when I want to?
Because I don't let you interrupt.
But when I'm trying to type in the group that anyone can join us for questions for Robin live, they want to join us.
I already did
all
that.
Of a sudden, you already did.
Yeah, it's done. Put in the link and everything.
Oh,
you're late.
Well, there we go.
That's because you're the host, the honored host.
Okay, so if
I'm the peon, I'm the beans.
But if the turtle touches you, Kevin, you're not liable, right?
Exactly. They have people down there who enforce that, and
really,
they actually have cops up on the road. And I'm not kidding you. If they see you harassing the turtles, literally go, "You come here," and apparently they'll give you a warning the first time, but then all bets are off if you mess with the turtles.
Turtle harassment. That's kind of an interesting law.
I have to say something, you guys. If you notice me yawning a lot, I am not falling asleep. I'm not bored. I don't have a problem with the program. we have had a very sick cat. And so I am up all night long, every 30 minutes, administering medicine, fluids, tube feedings, the whole ball of wax.
Ooh.
So I'm not sleepy, like to be tired, but I'm actually sitting and not moving around. And I'm finding that since I'm not in motion, I'm yawning like crazy. So I apologize to everybody in the free world. It's not you. I'm not being disrespectful. I can't help it.
Okay, well, at least you're yawning for the right reasons. Most people.
Yeah, I just didn't want
for the
anybody
wrong
to be
reasons on
offended
this
by
show.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what Sue told me about the little people. There is a little people there, but I can't remember what the name is. What's the name of it?
Michael had it.
Yeah.
Michael?
Wahini.
Wahini.
Yeah.
Ah,
I used to live in Hawaii when I was a kid. It's a pretty magical place.
Oh, wow.
wow.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
It's
Kevin,
kind of small. If you're talking about if you're talking about Oahu, it's pretty small.
Right. Actually, the Menehune. M-E-N-E.
That's it, Minhuni.
Yeah, not Wahini. Wahini, I believe, is a woman.
Yeah, she's a spirit kind of lady.
Yeah.
that's right. It is the Menehune. I remember Sue telling me that.
And also, if you want a little interesting side note on that, is that when people see Sasquatch on a spacecraft, there's two kinds of Sasquatch. There's the tall, human, hairy ones, and the short, human, hairy ones. The tall, human, hairy ones are seen 14% of the time, and the tall ones, right? The short ones are seen 17% of the time. So these guys, the small ones, get around in the UFOs more than what's seen by humans of the large Sasquatch types. Interesting side fact.
So what island, we're going to actually get down to some conversations and whatever pertinent to the show, but what island were you on again, Kevin?
Oahu.
Yeah, Sue's on
Hilo is
the Big Island, I guess they call it, Hawaii. And it's really, she's like in the jungle kind of thing there.
Oh, that's
wow.
fantastic.
Yeah, she's on the south end then.
I guess so. And every time I talk to her on Face Chat, there's these frogs like singing in the background, and they're really like,
Oh, wow. That sounds awesome.
yeah. And she's got little geckos crawling all over her wall, and so it's
See, I
pretty-
would
pretty
love
much-
that.
What's that? You would
I
love
said
that?
I would love that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love little geckos and lizards and frogs and stuff. And
like here we've got the annuls and we've got the skinks and stuff. I absolutely love it. I have the tree frogs that are all stuck to my front door and stuff.
yeah, but you'd like to get rid of the snakes.
Oh yeah, I'm going back to Michigan. This place sucks.
Where are you
Like
at?
I love the cryptids. I'm in South Carolina right now.
Okay.
We actually
you don't like
came
it?
down. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. I didn't like it before we came. I always said, like, hell was frozen over before I would live there. But I came because I have grandchildren. I have one in Canada, and I have like, what is it? 8? Yeah, 8 in Michigan. And then I have 3 in South Carolina. And the 3 in South Carolina, we're the only grandparents left. The other side is passed. And they weren't getting a lot of grandparents time because they were so far away. They weren't being able to do grandma and grandpa sleepovers or grandparents day at school or these kinds of things. And I thought, you know what, let's just, before we get to the point where we don't want to move anymore, let's go down there. We never intended to stay permanently. That was never in the plan. It's been 5 years. Now it's time to get out of hell. I mean, it's living on the sun, venomous snakes, 24 hours a day, 8 days a week, or spiders that are the size of your hand. Umpteen billion people. And I live out in the woods. And, I love interacting with the cryptids. I mean, UFOs are over my house every night. I've got, pick a cryptid, it shows up. And, it's fine. That part of it, I don't mind. That part I enjoy. But it's time to go home. Really time to go home. I was in a documentary that just aired recently, or part of it aired. They ended up splitting the documentary from the one that we filmed with Jason Kenzie. It's Chapter 6, Searching for Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And then that will be out very shortly on Amazon Prime and Tubi. But they did interviews of me, and I was supposed to be in this little tiny short clip, and they were going to condense it down, and it wasn't going to be that big, and that was fine. I did it for a friend of mine, and it was like, okay, it's no big deal. And instead, they got enough footage where he said, you know, can we kind of do a clip of just you talking about the Sasquatch? And I was like, yeah. And I didn't realize I thought it was just going to be like after the movie. He actually made it a separate little doc all by itself. That one's already out. It's on
That's
Amazon.
cool.
It's
Actually, I
called
think I saw that.
Yeah, Searching for Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Mindspeak.
Yeah.
And so that's already out, and then that will be transferred over eventually down the road over to Tubi as well. But that's on Amazon Prime now. So I went home for that and for a family reunion, and you get down there and it's like I'm back in the woods again, and I'm not worried about going out in the woods like where I'm at because of the swamps, the lakes and everything else. You don't walk into the woods. It's all these giant pine tree forests, and all these venomous snakes hide out under the mulch. So you don't see them until you're on them. And everybody's like, oh, get snake boots. On a good day, it's 100 degrees.
Right.
We're in the fall, and it's going to be 97 Thursday. That's ridiculous. And it's 100% humidity, even in the winter. And so I don't want to wear, snake boots. I want to go out and interact. I want to go out and enjoy myself. And it's like, even I'm surrounded by trees, which is what I need. But even in the grass, they tell you not even to go outside after dusk because you can't see the snakes in the grass, even when you keep your lawn short.
Right.
You have to keep it so short, you're burning the grass.
Right.
And then they tell you, don't go out at night once it starts getting dark when the snakes are active. People are getting bit all over the place. They walk out to their car and these snakes are under the cars and they're getting struck. And that's not cool. I don't like that. I don't want to
That's no way to live.
No, and I don't want to worry about when my animals. I had one dog I lost due to a rattlesnake, and I don't do that. It's like I go out and patrol snake duty to make sure, my dog stays safe. And you don't know what you're going to get. And the ones down here are massive. I mean, forget about these little boys. I mean, I hate killing anything, but I'm not going to risk my grandkids, my family, my friends, and my animals with these snakes. I'm done. Like, I just want to go back home. It's so peaceful, not having the humidity, and it was hot this last summer, even in Michigan, because everybody's had a heat wave everywhere. And so it was warmer than normal, but you didn't have all the humidity, and you could get out in the woods. You could have a good time. Of course I came home with poison ivy, but I'd rather do that. I don't care about that. So it was lovely to be there. So yeah, we want to get moved back. We were hoping to be moved back before the winter. I've got, this is the last move I'm moving. So I don't care what the house looks like. I can change a house.
Right.
The only thing I care about is the land. So I'm trying to find exactly what I want because I'm done moving.
Yeah.
This is the last move.
So Robin, let me ask you something. And I don't know if you're good friends with Igor, so maybe he wouldn't mind you talking about it. Would you share with us some of the background and what went on when he was talking to a Sasquatch on the phone? Was he not?
Oh, sure.
That sounds
sure.
bizarre, but
We
yeah,
actually
give us the story of that.
It actually happened in two different places. The first one was in the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference, and it was very controversial. It was very difficult, and it wasn't a matter of believing Igor. I know him. He has the utmost integrity. If he were to tell me that he saw flying pandas, I would believe him because he is at that level of integrity where he's not going to lie.
Yeah.
He doesn't care if you're not going to believe him. He's not going to make something up. So it was never a question of, am I going to believe him? I will support him 110%, no matter what he does, because he has nothing but integrity. And we had gone to the conference. We were both speaking. He's been working with a group of cryptids. There's several different kinds that are in there, and he's been interacting with them. And he's actually, he's gotten a handshake from one of the forest people and a lot of ongoing contact.
Well, hold on a second. You can't go past that. How did he get a handshake? What do you mean by a handshake? He walked up and physically had a handshake?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. What had happened was they were out in the field doing research. It was an overnight thing. And this certain individual, I mean, I want to be able to tell you what I can, but I also want to respect his privacy to be able to put forth the information he wants as well. So what I will say is that they were out in the research field. It was a few nights they were out, in a certain one that actually likes it. Like mine spoke to this one, so's Pat, and he actually likes Igor quite well. Okay. I don't think he's the calmest of individuals, and I always worry about it. I'm like the safety police, but he is very, very fond of Igor. And Igor came out of where they were staying, and he approached him, and he took Igor, and he didn't like grab his hand and start shaking it. He put his hand over his wrist, and then he went up and he stroked Igor's face like this. So he's got really great interaction. There's a lot of things that go on up there and a lot of different cryptids that are there. But so he had that interaction, and we had gone to Nebraska, and he was going to speak about it. And prior to him going on stage, he had spoke to his contact in Russia that had the original contact with these beings, and he brought Igor in on it. And he said, listen, let's do this. I'll hold up the phone so that he can hear your voice, Igor, and then he can speak back with you, and we can, the audience would be able to hear. It's not, I want people to understand there was so much ridicule about this. There really was. And they attacked the conference, which the conference was superb. In fact, I did the conference the following year as well. And wonderful people there.
What was it? Hold on a second. So was it a very open-minded conference, or was it the typical,
no, Nebraska
investigator
Nebraska
guys?
likes to deal with a lot more of the physical aspect of it. There were people that were there that were very open-minded, but the conference is in Hastings, Nebraska. These people, your Bible Belt, they deal with a lot of physical things. I think that, you can go so far with it. When we do the Georgia Bigfoot conference, it is paranormal all day long. Like, I don't care what it is. You're talking about the flying saucers and the portals and everything. But when you go to Nebraska, and there is the list of people that go to the Nebraska conference, I really want to put out there, is top notch.
Yeah.
And the treatment that you get treated by the people doing that conference, Harriet McFeely, Kenny Collins, there's a whole list of people that take part in that conference. You are treated like solid gold. Yeah. Really. You really are. It's phenomenal. It's that one and the Georgia conference are my favorite. And so they aren't as open-minded as possibly it would have been helpful. And so when Igor found out that they were going to do this, he was very excited about it. We didn't have time to bring a lot of press there, which he had wanted, but we found out literally 30 minutes before he went on stage. So there's very limited amount that you can do. And again, you're talking about an area that this is not their topic of belief. And so, was it real? Absolutely, it was real. How was it received? Probably not as well as we would have hoped, because it seems far-fetched. But people need to understand that this was not a Sasquatch picking up the phone and holding it to his ear and dialing Igor's number, because that's what people assumed. Yeah, this is people. This is what they assumed. What it was Igor's contact in Russia holding a phone out and having it on speakerphone. So when this being spoke, it was picked up on the phone. That's how the conversation went. And people did not realize that, and they didn't really want to hear that. Now, was it legitimate? It absolutely was legitimate. It did happen. I have it recorded. There was plenty of people there that recorded it, and it is very legitimate. And since then, it's happened again. I mean, we went through a lot of plane issues every time I go to Nebraska, I can't get home. Okay. Everybody else can get home, but I'm held hostage in Nebraska, but it's okay, because I love it there and I love the people. And so we had went to go leave. And when we went to go leave, Harriet had gifted me a statue of a plaster made Bigfoot. And I was so tickled to get it. And Kenny was extremely gracious and kind. And he had this quartz piece that he had gotten out of the mountains of Colorado and decorated it. And he gave that to me as well. And it had a little tiny Bigfoot on it that was glued to it. So we went to go leave, and we had him in 2 carry-ons, because I thought, I'm not putting him in a bag for the airline to just toss all over and break. We had him in carry-ons. We go to leave, and I get pulled around. And I'm like, what's going on? Well, ma'am, we put your bags through the scanner, and what we're seeing looks conducive to bone. I said, there's no bones in there. Well, ma'am, we have to see your bag. Well, they saw my bag. They destroyed my bag, both of them, thinking that I had a dead baby or a dead carcass of something in my bag. And I said, it's a Bigfoot statue. Now, if you're going to hide that you've killed somebody and their body parts are in your bag, why would you give them and tell them it's a Bigfoot that everybody in the planet is going to want to see? I mean, really? You say, oh, there's a stuffed animal, there's this, there's that, but you're not going to tell them something that's going to pique their interest. So they destroy the bag, they take it out, and they're like, oh my God, it's a Bigfoot. I'm like, yeah, it's a plaster Bigfoot, dingbat, it's crystal. So after we did that, we missed the flight. So we got stuck there, and we ended up being there for 2 more weeks. So we went to Colorado with Kenny Collins and Harriet McFeely. When we did that, there was a conference going on. Now, we weren't speaking there, but Igor was. And, David Pilates was there. I'm trying to remember some of the other people that were there. But anyway, we went to this, and instead of, it was Jim Myers, instead of doing the phone, because people were so shocked in Nebraska. Like, they were really shocked. And then you get mixed reviews on something that was extremely credible and extremely real. And it wasn't the first time that he had talked through the phone to Igor. The gentleman was forever holding this phone up so that when Igor wasn't there on site, on the research site, he could hear him talk that way. So it wasn't the first time. So we get to Colorado, and Igor had mentioned to Dave and myself that he was going to do this again. So we didn't do it for the conference. We went actually into another building on site and had a very in-depth conversation and talked to him and did the same thing. And again, I've got that recorded as well. And it was tremendous. I think we talked with him there. It was like 45 minutes, maybe, somewhere between, I want to say between 30 to 60 minutes. So, both times it was the real deal. It really and truly was. And it's very hard for people to understand that, but it was very credible. Igor's contact is expanded tremendously. And it's brought in other cryptids as well. So, and he is gradually bringing that information out. That is his information. So I'm absolutely not going to, go out there and say, hey, this is what's going on in Russia. What I will tell you is it's legit.
Okay, so let me ask you a couple.
It is earth shattering.
Let me ask you a couple of questions then. Were they talking in English?
They yes and no at times. Sometimes it would be in a Russian language, of which Igor would translate, because as we all know, he's tried to teach me Russian and I suck. Okay. I can barely speak English well. I do not do Russian, no matter how hard I've tried. So at times he would speak Russian. And then when he was speaking English, it was short. It wasn't like a collective sentence. It was, a few words at a time or short sentences. I asked him at the same time to mind speak with me. When he did, I was able to get it without a problem. And then the gentleman on the other end that was holding the phone said, well, I'm not sure what he's doing, but when she asked him that, he went over and sat on a log and was like rubbing his head at the same time he was mind speaking, which I thought was kind of comical because they really don't need to do that, but he was focused. But yeah, it really is legit, and it is very hard. And I understand people, being skeptical of it. But what I tell people is this. Number one, it was not anything that was planned in Nebraska. It just happened. It was something that most people will probably never experience again. And while they can say that they didn't believe it, prove to me that it wasn't real. Because I'm not going to continually try to prove that it was, because you're not proving to me it wasn't. I experienced it. We were all there, in the voice itself, deep, guttural, not coming from the bottom of, or when we speak, it comes from up here. Theirs comes from down here in the clavicle. All the typical things, the voice range. I've had people look at it. The voice range was there. But, again, people that are not really familiar with the paranormal aspect, or a lot of the out of the normal box of what you would think would be with a Sasquatch, have a hard time believing it. And I understand that, I do, but at the same time, it was actually, it was a gift, and it's continuing still today as far as that kind of contact and more, as well as with other cryptids. Nobody deserves it more than Igor. He does. He deserves it. He has dedicated his entire life to these things. And if anybody is going to get the contact that he's getting, he deserves it. He really does. But it's completely legit.
The gist of my question, though, was that it was in a language that he understood. So it wasn't the Sasquatch language. He understood everything.
No.
Okay.
No,
it
was absolutely understood.
Yeah. And the other thing is unless you're betraying Igor's confidence or something, but maybe just give us briefly, what was the gist of the conversation about?
The one in Nebraska, I'm trying to remember because it was a couple of years ago. Basically, he was saying, hi, my friends. He was saying hello from them to us. The one in Nebraska was not an in-depth conversation and questions and answers. It was more of a connection with our people here.
Right.
It was very short. It wasn't overly long. It was telling everybody hello. He sends regards, from his people to our people, that type of thing, that he cared very deeply for Igor. When we got to Colorado and had that private conversations, he spoke with each one of us, myself, Jim Meyer, Dave Pilates, and Dave's wife, and I think sister-in-law, if I remember correctly. I might correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry. And he actually just would individually speak with us. And if it wasn't in English, it would be in Russian, of which Igor would translate. I didn't notice if he was speaking in Sasquatch language. I was so enthralled with everything else, I did not notice that happen. And it was questions like, for me, he said I reminded him of his mate, probably because I have long, thick hair, and they all seem to like that for some reason. I get a lot of them in the woods that will come up behind me cloaked and do this number and play with my hair. And I've had them physically do that, like when they're in physical form, play with my hair. And so that was like the gist of the conversation. As far as my part of it, was that I reminded him of his mate and, hello, good wishes. And the mind speak, I said, I'd like him to mind speak with me, which he did. As far as everybody else's conversations, basically it was just comments about them, nothing negative. It was all positive. And just like specialized between him and that one person, we were allowed to ask questions of him within reasons, and it wasn't anything deep. It wasn't like, please tell us the history of your people. It was nothing like that. Nothing. It was, we welcome, we appreciate you taking the time to speak with us, that type of thing. Questions have been asked of them before, although I don't know that this was actually asked during those conversations, like, how long do your people live, that kind of thing. But yeah, it was the second conversation in Colorado was actually, much longer than the one in Nebraska. The one in Nebraska was a very impromptu thing that just absolutely fell into our laps at that time. And it was more greetings,
Mhm.
you
Well,
know,
I
than
mean, this is
anything.
kind of a obviously a new kind of thing. So, I mean, you would think that
Mhm.
initially that would be how these conversations would go, but the potential is there for much more maybe down the road,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And really, again, I stress to people before you get critical of it, understand this is not, you know, I think people automatically thought, you know, that, you know, he picked up his cell phone, he dialed Igor and said, "Hey, Igor, what you doing, dude?" You
Yo,
know,
yo,
that's not
Igor,
how that
yo,
goes. Yeah.
what's
Yo,
up,
brother,
dude?
what you doing? No, that's not how that goes down. You're talking somebody holding a cell phone like this from several feet away while it's on speaker to be able to catch it and translating what we were asking into Russian to him and his responses. That's what it was. It was not, you know, but because it was labeled of, you know, Sasquatch on a phone, that's what people jump to. You
Yeah.
know, I think people, as much as I hate to say this, a lot of people in the Sasquatch field and cryptid world want to know about these things and they're more open. But when you have a conference and you have a lot of different people that could be just curious, maybe don't know a lot about it, they don't look that deep. They look at the surface. And when they heard, oh, he's on the phone, that's when it went downhill. And there happened to be one reporter that just happened by luck to show up to do a coverage. And it was just, you know, because there was a conference. It wasn't for anything specific.
Well, I mean,
And they grabbed that and ran with it. And it was really quite sad because it took away from the incredible speakers that were there.
well,
And
let's
this was
face,
incredible in
let's fa-
itself.
let's face it, even some of the hardcore researchers or whatever, I mean, they're no further along their path than, you know, like footprints and putting up game cams, and they don't get a whole lot of information. And
Yeah.
so, and a lot of the people that come to these conferences, they've got no idea. They just want to know a Sasquatch is real, right? So
Yeah.
it is a stretch of faith. It is a stretch of faith for a lot of people, not for
Yeah.
us, because, you know, we've experienced, well, I haven't been on the phone with them, but you know, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me from my experiences that
Right.
it could
Right.
very much
Yeah.
happen. So, but you know,
Well, and
the
I
thing
wouldn't
with
endorse
Igor and
it.
you and myself and others is that, you know, we're not afraid to. I don't care who believes me or not, and I know you don't either.
And I don't
Igor,
either.
Igor doesn't. I'm just gonna, because I'm not gonna water the truth down just to fit into some
No.
ideas
I
of what.
did that for a long time, you know, for the first 38, 40 years, you know, I've been around him since I was a little kid, and I was by myself in it. I didn't have anybody else. You know, I met Bob Daigle and he was the only one I trusted. And that's when I was in my 30s. I contacted him again in 09 and said, oh my gosh, you know, this is what's going on. And that's how I met Igor. And, you know, I love Igor to death. I will vehemently defend him at every corner because I know in my heart, in my soul, he's legit, you know, and it's not a matter of defending somebody I care about. I don't care if he's a complete stranger. You don't change the truth, and he doesn't change the truth. What he says is what it is. And so when this happened, you know, there was so many mixed reviews, and I saw some of the cruel comments on Facebook, and it just broke my heart because this is a man that is above reproach, has dedicated his life to this field, has done more in this field than people even can begin to imagine from the time of the Patty film. And he doesn't care if people believe him or not. He's going to be honest about it. And that's exactly what he was doing. And when he put that out there and when he had this phone conversation, he did it because it was incredible. It was earth-shattering, and it was a gift that he was trying to share with people, and people
Right.
slammed him for it, which was really sad. Now, we did that same year, the Michigan conference, and that wasn't this July, it was the previous July. And while we didn't do the phone call there, he did have some of it recorded that he did play, and he was able to give a much more in-depth explanation for people, to get a better understanding of it. But, you can't convince everybody. Brian, I'm like you are. There was a time when I would limit what I would say to make it comfortable for other people. I don't do that anymore.
No.
I can't change the truth, even if I wanted to, which I don't. I think that the truth should come out. And I stayed quiet for many years after I did the conference in Siberia. I did like a couple little conferences in Michigan. I went into radio silence and I just worked with the cryptids and I did my thing. 4 years ago, they asked me to come out and said, listen, we have to try again. They need to know what we are. We are a people. We are an ancient people. We're not your people, but we're still a people.
Right.
And they wanted people to know about them. They wanted people to know about their culture and their ways. And part of their ways is the paranormal side. I can't change the truth. And I'm to the point, and this isn't meant to be harsh, angry, rude, selfish, anything, but I've watched this stuff. When I talk about stuff with this isn't stuff that I've read in a book or that people contact me and say, hey, guess what? And I take it for fact. I've witnessed this. This has been my life, not because I tried to make it my life, but because it was what was in my life. I've witnessed it. I've experienced it. I'm not willing to compromise my integrity by lying about it to make it more comfortable for other people.
Not only that, you have to respect them. If you're watering it down just to make people feel comfortable with it, then you're not really respecting them and what they're giving us.
And that's exactly it. They've taught me so much. They've saved my life multiple times. Yeah. When Pat was in the hospital 2 years ago and almost died, I came home from leaving him in the hospital and I pulled in the driveway and they're like beating on my Jeep, like just pounding like it was bongo drums. And I was so upset because it was right during COVID. I couldn't stay at the hospital. They wouldn't even let me in the room.
Right.
And I said, why are you? And I yelled. I was like, why are you here? Okay. You don't need to be here comforting me. Get your hairy butts up there and save him. He puts his butt on the line for you guys every day. And they did. And within 20 minutes, he called me and he's like, you know what? My sugar level's normal and I'm feeling good. And I mean, he had already gone into ketosis.
Yeah.
Because his sugar level was 747. And it went down that quick, so they come in handy. Igor, and this was years ago. Okay. This is like, I want to say roughly 2013, maybe. And then that's a guess. I mean, that's how long ago it was. He had gotten really sick and he was in the hospital and he had contacted me and he said, I'm not doing well. I think he had pneumonia or something, if I remember correctly. And it was the same way with them. With him, I said, they are not supposed to interfere in our lives. They're not supposed to be doing all these healings and things. Certain clans have a little bit more leniency, and as long as it's okay, they will. But they're not supposed to be. But I said the same thing to them. Sacrificed his entire life for you. He has been ridiculed. He has been attacked. He has done everything for you. Help him, and they did.
Well, let me speak on that for a bit. When I had my near heart attack, well, I guess it was I'm not sure, but in any event, they were there with me through the entire thing, and they left some signs in the actual room I was in that they were there. So they take care of the people that they love and whatever, because I should have had serious heart damage. I had 6 stents put in, but I've got no heart damage whatsoever. And I totally feel that if it wasn't for them, I would have been come out of that much worse off. So they do protect those that they love and family. And I've experienced it. You've experienced it. Igor's experienced it. It's a real thing, right?
Yeah. I had an ET attack and I ended up in intensive care. They did not think I was going to live. The doctor that came in when I was in intensive care said, if you survive, and that's if, you're looking at probably 6 months here and 6 months in rehabilitation before you're going to go home. and we're going to do whatever we can do for you. And Pat had already contacted them and contacted a friend of mine that we all work together, and said, and we have our own little pact that we made privately, that if one of us gets hurt in this, that we just get hold of one of the other ones and say, hey, help. That's it. No, nothing needs to be explained. And we have our own little backup plan, and we know who to contact and what healers to contact. And so Pat had gotten hold of her, and Pat had gotten hold of the ones that we contact as well. And I was out of intensive care in 12 hours, and I was home in less than 24.
Yeah.
They have no idea how. But people contact me a lot, and they say, please ask them to help me with this and this and this. First of all, I have no problem doing that. I will do that every time gladly. It's not an inconvenience. I'm happy to do so. But again, they have laws. They do. They have their own culture. They have their own laws. In those laws, it says they are not allowed to interfere with us. They may interact. Certain clans have that ability to interact. Some refuse to, but they are not allowed to interfere with our lives. And healing is kind of on that slippery slope. But you have some clans that, because of the love that they have for you and the love for our people, they will gladly help. And then you have other clans that are extremely strict, and it's, no, that is the law. We will not. Even if they can, they won't. And it's not them being cruel or mean or hateful. It's their laws. So, sometimes when I contact them and say, this person needs help, please do, they will. Other times they won't. I have someone that I met recently by the name of Chris. Dear guy. I mean, I just love him. Him and his family are just the sweetest things ever. And in fact, he was going to try to pop on here today. I don't know if he'll make it or not. And I believe it was his father-in-law or someone in his family that was not well. And I contacted them on his behalf. And that person's doing well now. And according to the Sasquatch, they did try to intervene. So, a lot of times they will help, but it depends on the individual in that clan.
Yeah.
I wanted to add some things to the Igor thing. Is Brian and I had you and Igor on to do the Pork and Bean show, and that was almost right around the time when he did the phone call. And it's like, I try to listen really well. What Igor was talking about was that he has been going out to see the same clans of Sasquatch in different areas for like 40 years. Right, and before that, he was still doing research. He has more research in the field than any other human being, except maybe Kawani Lapsarditis. But I think he's even more than that. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not just him; it's his partner. He has different teams that he takes out there. His partner was the one that he told stories about when it was cold in the winter, and they had a little fire going. And they would go inside there. They had this big army van, it's like a little RV, and the Sasquatch would slap on the RV, and his partner, who's been researching for a long time, would go out, and it was with a glass of vodka, and he actually handed a glass of vodka to the Sasquatch, because the Sasquatch was all grumpy or something. I don't know what the deal was, but that kind of calmed him down a little bit. And then there's that same partner of his was later on in the story taken through a portal, and it was a very incredible deal where he talked to the Sasquatch elders, and the elders are asking him to intercede with the government so that they could be protected. This is a completely different level of Sasquatch interaction that they have over there, and it involves the government, and it's a political thing for the Sasquatch too. And this guy came back from this portal, and he said that when he actually came back to this side, he actually dropped down 3 feet because the portal was up higher. Mm-hmm. So there's there's the story the backstory that's going on over there is completely not. It's on another level than what we get over here. Even the people who are friends with Sasquatch, they don't get quite that same kind of you know, here you're sharing your vodka kind of level. You know what I mean? So
Well, if I can add to that, being that that part of it is already out there, just to add more to it, the one that was on the phone, and I'm not going to name names out of respect for them, because at one point in time, they had mentioned to Igor, you know, you're very public, and they were a little at that time, and that may have changed now, but at that time, they really didn't want a lot of their names and things out. And so Igor, when we were contacting each other, was saying to me, you know, if you talk about this, please change this name or that name. So, but what I will say, the one that was speaking on the phone both times was one of that group. And when Igor had the one hold his, you know, his wrist and stroke his face, it was also part of that group where they had that military van. A lot of these different beings that he's had interaction with it's all part of that group. And there's many things that are coming in with the Sasquatch. It's not just Sasquatch. A lot of, and I've seen some of the videos of it that have been put up on YouTube under the other gentleman that he does the research with. And, you know, telekinesis, moving things in this camper while they were in it. Now, even that being said, the one that, you know, had put his hands on Igor, and he loves Igor to death. He truly, truly does. But he can become violent. He really can. He always tells me over and over again, I don't need to worry about Igor because he would never hurt Igor, and he cares about Igor, and he wants Igor with him all the time. He does, but he can be out of control at times. There's another one there that's with him that is much calmer. So, you know, it just depends on the situation. And, you know, I keep telling Igor, I know he loves you, but he has these moments where he kind of loses it. And that, you know, of course, as his friend, that's what I continually worry about with him. But so far, he hasn't hurt Igor. He has not ever hurt him. He's hurt other people, but he hasn't hurt Igor. And so they had that military van that they were using to camp in. And I guess now they're trying to get some work done on it and get something a little bit better, a little bit more secure. But yeah, I mean, it's the interaction he's getting is really off the charts. It really is. And the sad thing is we all want to know about this kind of interaction. We want to know when something incredible goes on. But unfortunately, when you take that to the public and say, okay, you wanted to know all this stuff, now I'm telling you, you're met with nothing but, well, that's not true. Well, how do you know it's not true? You weren't there. It wasn't your experience. People either want to know or they don't. And unfortunately, a lot of times when they want to know, they have a very difficult time understanding it when they get it. Mm-hmm. You know, but that one of the ones from that group, the one that had, you know, there's two there especially. One of those was the ones that did the phone call, and it was the same one in both Nebraska and in Colorado.
Yeah, I wanted to mention something because it was a very important point. I wanted to get into a little more detail of that. You say that and I agree with that. That, you know, they really don't interfere with us and our life paths and whatever, and they can't really step in and do things. Although when they really love you on a family level or whatever, they will heal some people that they're very close to.
Yeah.
So that's true. But, you know, I've noticed, and this is what from my teachings from them, is that there's a lot of people in this field that have very strong connections, but they're not really good people. And I'm not going to name names, of course, because that's lower stuff. I'm never going to.
No, I agree.
But you know what I mean? But the reason, the point I'm making here is that we're all on a soul path. We're all in a school here, you know, and it's our soul lessons or whatever. So the Sasquatch will mirror kind of who we are, even and support us, even if it is outwardly, in our opinion, not good, because they do not want to step in and interfere, because those lessons still have to be learned from those actions.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So they don't.
Yeah, and I agree with you. But I also think too, you do find people, and again, I'm with you. I'm not naming names, but you do find people that may not be the kindest of people
Right.
or the most honest or pure of heart, which is normally what the Sasquatch want to connect with.
Hmm.
But we have to, and they do connect with some of these people, but we have to understand that these are people. They have good people, they have bad people. Now, if you look at our type of humans, you have these gangs, and all these guys and women that are in these gangs are not the nicest of people. And those kind of people tend to band together. So when you're looking at the Sasquatch people, I'm a believer that primarily you're going to find much more good and loving ones than you are bad. But I'm also a realist. And I've been called into areas where there's bad ones. The bad ones are lethal. They really are. But they also will try to get away from us. Like they go, high in the mountains or whatever, because they don't want to be bothered with us, because we have some really ugly people as far as, kindness goes. But predominantly, they are all good. It's a matter of learning their culture. People think a lot of times they're doing something bad, even when they're not. But as far as, some of these people that are not the best of people within themselves, even, let alone with other people, they get connections, but are they really connecting with the really good ones? Or are they connecting with one of the ones that energetically they mesh? You know what I'm saying?
I think there could be a little bit of both, but they definitely
Yeah.
don't judge, but they definitely allow us to make our mistakes and do our thing.
Absolutely.
Because,
Yeah.
for what the reasons I said, but yeah, that's interesting.
They're teachers, they teach us a lot. We tend to think, as far as our type of humans, and this goes not just with Sasquatch, with any of the cryptids, the ETs, all of them. A lot of our type human, and I don't say everybody because it's not a everybody thing, believe we are the biggest, the baddest. There's nothing better than us. There's nothing smarter than us. The truth is we're peons. We really and truly are. In the grand scheme of things, we're probably the lower man on the totem pole. And they believe that, we're it. There's nothing better than us. And that's just so simply not true. And it really is sad, because that's what you're putting out, your energy and your vibration is. And we're so far from it. There's so much we can learn. One of the things about the Sasquatch is we can learn so much. Literally so much daily from them. If down from the fact that they work under the law of Ra, the law of one as a collective,
Yeah.
to so many more things. If only we would make ourselves available to learning from them. They don't shove it down our throats. They're not standing on our porch, knocking on our porch, handing out pamphlets saying, do this, do this, do this. But
The
there's subtle
Mormon
ways.
Sasquatch.
Yeah, there's subtle
Well,
ways that
but they will come to
teach.
your house and leave messages and glyphs and stuff. So that's,
Oh yeah,
they're
that's
kind of like that in a less
Yeah.
obtrusive way. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
I wanted to toss this out there, to all the listening public is there's a radical difference between them and us, right? And ask in your heart of hearts, how many times in your life has your life been on the line? Completely life or death on the line, to for food and water. If a Sasquatch is 5 miles away from a river, he's got to walk 5 miles to get to that river. And if a Sasquatch is hungry, he's going to have to kill something or eat roots. He's going, their life is on the line continuously. Now they've got a pretty comfortable lifestyle in a way, because, they can hunt every other day or 3 times a week or something, and then they got a lot of time off. But still, they put their life on the line. If the lion comes and eats their child, or a snake bites, their life is on the line all the time. And it's a completely different reality than we do. So they have to trust nature and not trust. They don't trust the bears. They don't trust the lions or the snakes. And they don't trust humans. It takes a lot for them to trust humans.
Yeah, and on top of that, there have been countless times where they have come in at their own personal risk of being found out and shot at, hurt, captured, whatever, bringing people to the family, but to help us. You know what I'm saying? Like they found children that were lost. They have helped people that have been injured or lost in the woods or what have you. They have actually come forward and helped. And people need to understand that when they do that, that's a great personal sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because again, one of the laws are you don't do that. It's just like with the Patterson film. Patty, they labeled her from every clan I've ever talked to. They labeled Patty as a traitor because instead of turning around and walking away from them, she walked towards them. And, people can dispute it all they want that, no, that's not the truth. That's my truth because I've been told that by countless different Sasquatch from countless different areas. It's not just like one clan I've talked to about this. And multiple people that mind speak with them have gotten that message as well. So, but again, they put themselves at great risk for us time and time again. And, they need to be credited and acknowledged for that. They don't have to do these things, but they do it. And the repayment that they get, and I'm not talking about, like the habituators or the contacts or the experiencers that have that good, beautiful relationship with them, but the overall public, what do they get for their endeavors? Shot at, captured by the government, held hostage, used as lab rats, ridiculed.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've been here 5 million years, and we've been here about it mostly around 2 million years. They survived for 5 million years by hiding. That's part of it. It's life or
Yep.
death. It's a
Yeah.
life or death for them to hide. The deers are not supposed to see them. The elk are not supposed to see them. Nobody's supposed to see them. And because if they were walking around, then a deer would just run away. So it's a big deal for them to stay hidden. And and even with their friends, like Brian's only had a couple of sightings in 4 or 5. How many years? It's not like you see them every time. It's just a very select few times, and all those times that you've known them, have you actually seen them?
I've seen them about maybe 5 times in the physical, but they've also showed up in my pictures quite a bit.
And how many times have you got? You go out at least 3 times a week, right? For how many years?
Over 10 years.
10 years, 3 times a week. That's a lot. Okay, or sometimes 4 or 5 times a week.
Their connection is energetic mostly.
Yeah. And even people who are friends with them, they don't actually see them sometimes for years. Like I've been friends with them for 10 years and I haven't actually seen them except in visions in my head. So
yeah. Well, and just like with Brian, he said, they show up in the pictures. You get these pictures, and for people that don't read energy, it kind of limits you because, you may not see anything there. Every picture has energy signatures from something in it. Okay. I don't care if it's an earthworm. Everything has an energy signature. So when you get a picture from somebody, whether there's something physical that you can see in there or not, it doesn't mean it's empty.
Yeah.
And if you call out to whatever that energy is that you feel in that picture, something from that energy can, if you're a mind speaker, it can respond. And then you get a lot of backlash and it's like, no, there wasn't anything there. Well, for you, there may not have been anything there, but for the people whose vibration and energy has progressed, which it's a progression. It's not like anybody's any better than anybody else. It's a progression. But when you get to that level from doing it time and time and time and time again, you can really find all the stuff in these photos that may appear to be nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. Mr. Wellington, what are you doing? What are you doing?
He's a Sasquatch. He's been hiding in and out.
Looks
of the
like he's
brush.
doing dishes or something. Or
I know.
Well, no, I'm hungry. I'm fixing myself something to eat.
This is a show, man. I'm starving, but I'm sacrificing my stomach for the sake of the show.
You're the host. I can eat.
I saw him. It looked like he had a pan down there, and I was like,
Thinking, what is this guy doing?
"Oh my gosh!"
Doing my
Okay,
morning routine, actually.
Well, I was hoping that we would have people on and ask you questions. So how about we get a little, how about we indulge ourselves? Now, I don't know if Beans wants this. I would like it. It'd be fun. And maybe Mr. Wellington would like it too. Can you give us a message or some conversation that the Sasquatch want to give us each individually, or just,
Can I?
can you do that?
Yeah, I can try.
Start with Mr. Wellington so he'll cease and desist what he's
Well, I'm
doing.
done.
Number one, when it comes to Kevin, and this is before I say them, Kevin, you're amazing. You have just got the kind, you really are. You've got a kind and loving heart. I have a lot of respect for you. From them, they truly care about you. Like, they follow you around, whether you're getting visuals, whether or not you're realizing it, they do keep an eye on you. You are watched all the time. You are part of that collective that they keep an eye on. Not only that, well, I'm being honest with you, and all you guys know me enough to know that I don't bullshit about it. I don't make it up.
Yeah.
If I get a message, I give it to you. If I don't get a message, I'll tell you I don't get a message, but I don't make things up just to fill in the blanks for people or to make people feel good. So I'm being very honest with you.
Yeah, do what you're doing, but also give us, if you can, if they have a personal dialogue or message they want.
Let me finish with Kevin first.
No, absolutely.
Whether or not you are aware of it, and you have other cryptids around you too. You have a cat person that is very, very much attached to you.
Really?
Yeah, you actually do. It appears to be a young male. And are you a cat fan of some kind?
Well, actually, okay.
Because he's really attached to you.
Not generally. So here's the deal. I don't like most cats, and most cats really don't like me. However, there are certain cats that I mesh with. I mean, like, I bond with instantly, and it's really weird because when it happens, it's out of the ordinary. For me, I actually like dogs, and dogs, almost all dogs really have an affinity for me, and I have an affinity for them, and I don't know, we kind of bond. Cats, the hit or miss. It's either you really like me.
An adolescent male. He seems to have a long flowing mane to him, and he very much likes you. I'm trying to get a name from him. It's ELMU.
Elmo?
No, not Elmo. It's not Elmo. It's I'm trying to find out how he pronounces it. It's ELMUA, and I'm not sure the pronunciation on that. Elmua, but I don't know. But anyway, he actually really likes you, and he says that he likes your energy and the glow that you have, that you radiate, and that is what draws him to you. He says that you also, in some ways, you remind him of a cat because you can be independent in your own right, where you have to cling to something. You can be independent, but at the same time, you're very loving and nurturing around others. And so he finds that admirable. You have, dogmen that come around you. Now, in your particular case, like the dogmen and the Sasquatch that are around me most of the time, they'll mesh. And if they're not, interacting, which they don't all the time, they have no problem like side by side. In your case, this particular group of dogmen don't interact with the Sasquatch around you as much, and that's okay. There's not a problem with them. They could care less about the other one, and that's all right. Some of them are like that. So you have that kind of energy around you. You've also got the elementals, the dimensionals. You are one that when you go in, all of these things tend to come to you. And they all think very highly of you. And, like the Sasquatches, you are friend, you are always friend, is what they say.
Oh, now you're really going to make me cry. And
Please cry. We want to see you cry on the air.
Yeah. Now, I will say this, the little people said that they like to play pranks on you, but don't take it personally.
Oh no, I know they do. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me?
They said we messed with him a lot.
Yes. Okay. So what happens is at first I was really frustrated, and I will fully admit that. But when I finally got what was going on, I just start laughing, and I'll say, "Oh, good one, guys. Good one."
Yeah. I don't like it when they hide my keys though for 4 or 5 hours. And
I
then
know,
I
they do
find
that
them in a
here a
place
lot.
where I look 3 times, and they're there. But anyway, go ahead with Kevin.
Hey, Pat's keys were gone for months and then they just appeared. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, thanks.
Continue on with Kevin. I don't want to.
Okay. Now the little people are saying something about your ears. Do you ever feel like when you're laying in bed, somebody's playing with your ears or something? Because they said they play with your ears.
Really?
Just
So
to irritate you.
I don't think it's well, okay. So I get really itchy ears, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's because
it's
they're
like,
playing with them.
and it's like, knock it off, right? And
Yeah.
it's
No,
out.
they're playing with them. They said they
Okay.
go up and just gently touch them to make them like that.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, I know
That's a
now.
good confirmation. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, Robin, can I ask a question?
Of course.
Because you've already actually answered one of my questions, but this whole thing has been a journey for me for the last 5 years that has been really incredible. And what you told me about the Sasquatch clan, my Sasquatch clan, just really warms my heart. Here's my question though. For a long time, they interacted with me and showed me their love and their concern and their support really very overtly, right? They were always around. They were in my house.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And they played jokes on me too. In fact, they played jokes on me and my wife. There was I think it was our clan leader came to my house, stood in the middle of my kitchen and decided to let loose with the nasty smell because it was very point specific. And it was like right in the middle of the kitchen floor up at the ceiling level. And I looked up and I said, okay, this is funny, but can you tone it down just a little bit? Because it was gagging kind of stuff.
Did your wife notice it?
Oh, yes.
What did she say? Because I know she's kind of, and with all due respect, she's kind of in denial about them. So how did she explain that?
She didn't.
Well, they said to tell you, Kevin, and they're shooting this off right now. So I want to tell you before I forget it, and they're bugging me until I do. They said you can call them by the Bird's Eye Clan.
Oh.
I don't know if that has any special meaning to you or not, but
it actually does, because
that's what they just said.
I think they specialize, and this is an I think they specialize in bird calls because
okay, then that makes sense.
And some of them have the most beautiful bird calls you could possibly imagine. And I'll go in the woods, and sometimes it's like a conversation going back and forth, and I almost always can tell based on the energy that it's them. And
yeah,
it makes me glad.
Like when I tell you this stuff, and I tell this to everybody because people don't realize it, write it down, because when they give me messages for people, those messages aren't for me personally, they're for that person. So they don't always let me remember it. And then people will come back to me later on and say, well, what was the name of this? Because they think they want a test. Everything is a test. And
yeah, for sure.
I'm like, I don't remember it. And then they get mad at me, and I'm like, listen, the message wasn't for me, so they can take that memory away. I'm like, well, then ask them again. Well, then I go to ask them again, and then the Sasquatch actually get mad. And they're like, we're not playing games. We gave the message.
Right.
And then I'm the one that gets the backlash. So I tell everybody, write it down, because sometimes I can remember if I'm allowed to, and other times I can't.
I will definitely write down the Bird's Eye Clan. So my question,
and Brian, your clan says that you can call them the Bear Claw clan. I don't know why. That's just what they said. It was funny because when Kevin's clan said the Bird's Eye Clan, it was almost like Ari's clan jumped in like, well, I'm not going to be outdone by this one. So you can just tell him that it's like this competition. And I'm like, guys, just wait a minute.
So
Yeah. Tell them to be on hold so you can finish Kevin. Ari, settle down.
He's laughing.
Settle down,
He
Buster.
says, I will not be outdone.
Oh, he just hit me up. He just hit me up with energy. He likes that.
Yep.
Yeah, they have a sense of humor. They
totally
Oh,
love
wicked
it.
sense of humor.
Oh, I'm getting
Wicked
all
sense of humor.
buzz now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Buzz big time. But continue with Kevin. And by the way, and before you do it, this show, like we like to have make it interactive. So we put the link in the group. If anybody wants to come on and ask Robin to do the same thing for them, please don't be shy. Just come on the show.
If anybody's listening and it's out there.
Yeah, just come on
I
the
know
show.
that
I said, if anybody is watching in the group that wants to press
Yeah.
on the link that
I
Mr.
know I
Bean's
had several
provided,
people contact me about
come on the show.
coming in, but
and we'll do one for you. So go ahead, finish up, Kevin.
no, they just wanted to make sure that he knew that. And when you were talking about the bird calls, they said, yes, that was them. They said they also, part of the reason they use the term bird eye is they watch you. They watch you all the time.
Oh, and through other birds.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a particular raven that likes to come visit me, and I know it's them looking through, just checking on me.
Yeah.
That's my impression anyway.
Now, what's the deal with the fruit?
What's the deal with what?
With the fruit.
The fruit?
I don't know if they're wanting fruit or they're showing me them coming into your house and fruit getting spilled. And then they're showing fruit out on a stump. And I don't know if they're trying to get you to give them fruit, or if they're taking your fruit.
If they're taking my fruit, that's fine. I don't know. I don't notice it missing.
What about the tree though, Kevin? The apple tree.
Well, I was just going to tell you, we grow a lot of berries on this property. We have several blueberry bushes. We grow raspberries. We have strawberries. We get a lot of blackberries.
Well, they said they enjoy your fruit.
Well, and I've told them many times that they are welcome to whatever they would like to eat from my fruit. Just leave me some, right? That's what.
Yeah. I used to do that years ago. I had chickens, and it was so comical because the way that the coop was set up, off the end of this very small barn that I had was where the fenced area was that they were in. And then I could walk in the barn, and I had like the drop door down, and I could just get eggs out. And for months on end, I would go and my chickens weren't laying eggs. And I'm like, I've had these chickens. Yeah, where the heck are the eggs? So finally one day I went out there and I said, I don't know who's taking all the eggs, but if you could leave me a couple for my kids, it would be great. After that, I had eggs every day. There was still a lot gone, but there was some showing up. And I'm like, it was never that they weren't laying. It was they were never making it to us.
I did something similar with our chickens. My daughter was in chicken 4-H, my youngest daughter. And as part of that, she liked to have a variety of chickens, and most of them were bantams. And they laid these little teeny weeny useless eggs. I hated collecting them. I admit it was very selfish. And one day I was out there collecting them, and I just said, that's it. You guys, if you want to eat the bantam eggs, you can have all of them. And I literally for 6 months did not get another bantam egg. Not one. And when they were first, as far as fruit goes, when they were first trying to get my attention, and this was actually the turning point where I just went, yes, it is Sasquatch. We have 2 apple trees, and these apples are not like attractive apples. They're kind of scabby. All they're really good for is applesauce. But my wife makes some of the best applesauce from them I've ever had in my life. Well, I went out one morning. Actually, no, my wife went out one morning, and she said she came running back in and woke me up and said, somebody stole our apples. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I don't think so, because no one's going to drag a ladder up in the middle of the night to steal our apples, because from 6 feet up to the top of the tree, all the apples were gone. From 6 feet down, they were still all there. So things that I could pick, no problem. And that was like the biggest aha moment for me ever. It's like, oh, wow, they really are here.
Well, I can tell you my apple story. Years ago, I lived in this one area where we had 10 acres and they walked around uncloaked 24 hours a day.
Oh,
I
see, that's
mean,
awesome.
yeah, it was awesome. You'd look out in the front yard and somebody be, there's an individual walking all around, and they would come up cloaked as well, but they'd sit outside my window at night and they'd chatter in their language and then they'd chatter in mine. And if my bed was by the window would be open and they'd be playing with my hair all night long. I'd get up in the morning and there'd be mud and leaves and stuff in my hair. It was lovely. And it would stink. But anyway, I was going and buying like the deer apples, that the hunters use and stuff.
Right.
And the big bags. And when it wasn't deer season, I was buying as big a bags as I could get at the grocery store. And I put apples out daily for them. And I mean, that can get costly, and you're never going to be able to feed them enough to sustain them anyway. But it was just, that's what I was doing. And this went on for probably, I want to say 2 years. I never noticed at the very back of this 10 acres, there was a whole strip of apple trees.
Yeah.
I never noticed it. And so what I would do, I would take them out of the bag because I was always worried if the bag was left out in the woods, would another animal chew on it and get, fixated from the plastic, or would their children get the plastic? I would take these apples and where your trees, it's like a V or whatever, and you'd put the apple in it to simulate it being on the tree.
Right.
And so I would spend an hour putting these in all the crooks and crevices of all these trees around in this one area that I fed them at. So it was more natural for them, and they always took them. So now I'm walking through the woods one day and I look over and there's this whole strip of apple trees. And I'd never noticed an apple on it before. So they were probably getting all those off of there too.
Right.
And I walked by and I'm like, you obnoxious people. I'm buying all this stuff. And what am I doing? I'm doing this and you're getting all the apples back here plus all the apples I'm buying you. And I said, from now on, I'm not buying apples. I will get you something else, but you have plenty of apples. So I went out there the next day. Every apple were off these like 10 apple trees back there. And what I found was they went and put it in all the crevices of the trees. Exactly. Oh, my foot just cramped. Exactly how I had put it for them for 2 years. I have pictures of it. And they put them in the crevices just like I did. And I thought, if anybody ever says you're not smart, they don't know what they're talking about.
Right. So the crux of my question was, they've pulled back. They don't visit me at my house anymore, and they no longer interact with me overtly with the energy. And and this has been for quite some time now. And I understand the whole assimilation thing and all that, but I feel like there's kind of a division, and this is just a sense I have. I don't know that it's accurate. I feel like there's a division in my clan about whether they should allow them, the members of the clan that want to interact with me to interact with me.
Well, a couple things can happen. The clan leaders can change, and maybe there's some more restrictions there that there weren't before. Another thing that I've noticed has gone on with quite a few people is, they've talked about for years, the big battle, that started 3 years ago. It's a battle that some of us realize is going on. Some of us don't. It's not like it's up in your face. So everybody's it's not like when we have a war with our people, and everybody notices it. It has to do with all paranormal things. And it's not a turf war or a spiritual war necessarily. And it's really kind of more of an in-depth thing. I mean, what they've shared with me is about running, when I say running, I don't mean like controlling, but it's about the earth. It's about maintaining the earth. It's about the collective together and all being able to live together copacetically, and the coming together. And so, they're talking in my head right now about something they want me to talk about. And so when that started happening, and even before that, certain members of certain clans would go away for a while. And some of mine did it as well. I still had others there. I wasn't alone, but some of my core group was gone. The one time it was 8 months.
Oh,
And you
yeah.
talk about being brokenhearted, and you get used to the feel of their energy. And when that energy gets pulled away, you can really go into a withdrawal.
Right. There's like a hole in your heart.
It is. And I was
Yeah.
devastated. And it wasn't that I wasn't getting interaction still. It wasn't from the ones that I was the closest to. And they came back, and they said, we were in training, we were preparing, we were learning. And we tend to forget that in spite of everything, they do have their own lives, much so that we do. We have obligations with family, with work, anything in our life. They do as well. Just because they're out in the woods and they may not have a 9-to-5 job that they clock in at doesn't mean that they don't have lives. They have their own purposes. They have their own things that they do. And so sometimes that's why they back off. It can be that, it can be the one running the clan has made changes. So maybe certain things are permitted that weren't permitted before, or maybe things are no longer permitted that were permitted before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like a changing of the guard, if you will.
Okay.
I think
Go ahead.
there's another reason for me personally, and it may not apply to everybody, but I noticed that when I have a lax time and interaction, whatever, when the activity starts again, I look at it as an assimilation period for me, because when I come out of it, it's like I have a way broader knowing, and I just
Yeah. I mean, there could be a great many reasons for it.
Yeah.
They do things specifically for certain reasons, and it's very individualized, and there's not just, that's the hardest thing I think in this research field, is that everybody expects things to be one way. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're individuals. They don't look the same. They don't act the same.
Right.
They all have different temperaments. Their, skin color is different. Their hair is different. They're this, they're that. Everything is different. And so they expect just one solid answer. And unfortunately, if there is one solid answer for everything, I'm not the one that has it, because my experiences, what they've taught me is everything is individualized.
I absolutely get that. I mean,
yeah,
I've been
as far as
around.
what they're in my head, like basically just, and Sis and I want to get that out really quick so that they'll calm down, and then I can go on and we can continue. They are doing what they call a building of the bridge right now. And what that is, years ago, I worked on the Ketchum study. I met Melba because they wanted me to help her. And I did what I could. I wasn't a scientist. I did what I could, and we did that. Still one of my dearest friends today. But they go in periods where they try to get recognized. And it's not even just, some of them want, some type of protection, but it's just a matter of to be able to live next to each other, not interfere with each other, but to live on the same planet and share the planet with each other. 4 years ago, they came to me and said, we need you to talk. And I said, nobody listens to me. I am a nobody. Like, nobody's going to listen. They didn't care. Talk about us, tell people what we are, that kind of thing. So that's what I've done. And I'm not the only one they've had do it. Please don't think it's just me. There's thousands of people they want to do so. And so all these people have done that, but it still isn't gaining them the ground that they wish. And there are some that don't want to be acknowledged, but the rest of them don't want acknowledgement. They want to be able to live their lives and us live our lives. We don't have to be connected to each other, but to share the planet. And so what they've now done is what they keep telling me, and this is their verbiage, not mine. They are building bridges. Okay. That is the terminology that they use, but it's not a literal bridge. It's a spiritual bridge. So what they're doing is, if anybody's really noticed, more people and more people are being contacted, whether it's through dream state, whether it's that people are getting a knowing, a feeling like they're supposed to have a connection and they don't know why. Very subtle things are happening to a lot of people, and they're like, why me? What's going on? And I get contacted a lot about it, and that's fine. I love it. I feel very honored that anybody would contact me and ask for anything. I don't think of it as a hardship. I think of it as a blessing and a privilege. and an honor if I can help somebody. So that's perfectly fine. But my point is more and more people are contacting me as well as other people. I'm not the only one that gets contacted by any means. I'm not anything that special. But this is what they're talking about with the building of the bridges. And they're screaming in my head going, the bridges, we're building the bridges, we're building the bridges. They just want to be heard apparently today.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. This is why this extra connection is going on, or people that are already oh, what a beautiful dog, that are already connected are noticing that perhaps their connection is highlighted or more so than it ever has been before, or being contacted in different ways. But anyway, that's what they want out there. This is
Can I add to that? Can I add to that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I was shown a couple of weeks ago, I got this little clear image, or like a little message image kind of a thing, that there's like 1,000, around 1,000 Sasquatch that are connecting to and stay in contact with 4 million humans. And that means they monitor them. And if you're going to watch the Pork and Bean show, you get an urge to do that, or to watch another show, or do some research, or go in the woods.
No, don't watch the other shows. Just the Pork and Bean show.
Well, yeah, but that, we don't have that much clout with the we only got one clan that supports it. No, but so I think that's real important, and it's not just the Sasquatch, the ET people, the spirit people, the God, the angels people with all the near-death experience, all the angels and God people, and then all the healers and all that stuff. There's this thing going on called the Team Inside Out, where people being lifted up and awakened and opened up, and so there's a lot going on, all on every level.
Okay. The ET interaction right now is through the charts.
RE, they want in. But hold on a second. RE, be patient. We've got Andrew is here, who came in.
Okay.
So, can you hear us, Andrew?
Yes.
You can?
Yes.
Did you have a question for Robin? Then we'll get you in there before RE gets appeased.
Any input at all about connection, journey, path, to be a part of this? Do my part.
I can't hear it. I'm sorry.
I said, do you have any advice at all on how I can better connect, engage in this journey, be a part of their work?
The thing about it is we don't get a choice as how fast we get the contact or anything. They're in control of all of it, as well as with the other cryptids and the ETs. Things that we can do, keep your mind open as far as accepting what you do get. Maybe be more aware of the surroundings. They do things very subtly at times. People meditate to try to contact them, and I do want to address that, because where I think meditation can be a beautiful thing to center yourself, to be more connected or whatever. But when you meditate, you are so wide open that the good and the bad can come in. So you've really got to be very careful with that. So if that's something that you're going to do, please try to. Hi, Lori. God bless you, sweetheart. We got to talk. Please try to get a feel of the energy around you, because just because you think you're talking to possibly a Sasquatch doesn't mean you are, if you don't know how to read that energy. So if anything feels off or whatever, shut that connection down.
Yeah.
Now, in order to, maybe get better connected with them, go out in the woods. I'm not a believer in chasing them around. If you want to go out and look for stick structures or footprints, wonderful. Enjoy nature, because that's a big thing to them. But if you want to connect with them, go to a spot, have a bonfire, let them come to you. That gives them security that you're not chasing them.
Yeah.
Have your bonfire, talk to them. You don't have to go into a meditative state to have contact. And I'm not knocking meditation, so please don't anybody feel that I am. the right way, I think it's a wonderful thing. It's just you have to be careful.
Yeah, I think
So-
what you're saying, Robin, is connect with them through the heart, with no agenda.
Absolutely.
Just say,
But-
hi, I'm Andrew, and I am open to
100%.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, go out, have a bonfire, cook some food over it so
Yeah.
they can smell it. You want to laugh, you want to be joyous, your energy, your heart. That's what's going to bring them to you. But know that you can't ever push them for contact. It doesn't work that way. They decide everything that goes on, and it becomes eventually a mutual respect and a mutual way. Like, you know, now I can call on some of them and they'll respond, but it's been a lifetime of mutual respect and love for each other. So
Can I
you
ask
can
one
get
other
there,
thing?
it just takes time.
Yeah, let me
Can I
just
ask one
let me
other
just
thing
let me
quickly?
just say one more thing on that, Andrew, and she's kind of already mentioned it. And yes, you can, but so when you're out there, sing, dance, listen to music, keep your vibration high as far as talking about positive subjects. Don't talk about the world today or whatever and stuff like that. Keep think positive, high vibrational things, because they're on a higher vibration than us, and we sort of have to meet them. It's easier for them to meet us when we can raise our vibration and kind of meet them in the middle. For instance, if I'm out camping with friends or whatever, and these days when the conversation strays to COVID and all this stupidity in the world today, and I respectfully say that, then they're not going to connect with you. But if you're talking about them and how wonderful they are, and just nature and appreciating things and keeping your vibration high, that's when they will connect with you. So,
and the whole nature thing really comes into play. Like I said, before you get until you're able to read the energy that comes from them and know whether they're good or bad, I really strongly encourage you, go out, sit in the woods. Don't go after them. Let them come to you. Let them feel your energy. Let them feel your heart. Come out, go out in the woods, and you know what? I'm here in peace. If you want to connect with me, but you have to be specific. And I want to be clear on this. Our words don't mean the same to them that they mean to us. When you talk to them, you have to be so specific. There is no wiggle room at all, because it will bite you in the butt. And I've had that happen before. Fortunately, it wasn't a bad situation. I just should have been clearer on what I wanted. But, go out there, sit on a log and say, I'm here. I mean you no harm. I come with peace and love. If you wish to interact with me with peace and love in your heart, and, in a non-threatening way, then I welcome you.
Yeah.
But
Also remember what I just said, that they're already connected to you. You don't, they don't carry a big sign, but if you feel like you felt an urge to come on the show, or you feel like the urge, like you want to be more connected to them, that is them poking your feelings to do that. So you're already connected, and you got to trust that connection.
Mike is
Also,
Beans, can you turn your
Mike is
mic down a little
100%.
bit? You're feeding back a little bit. Can you just turn it down a touch?
I don't want
Mike is
to.
100%.
Yeah, there you go. That's better.
Right. Something is telling you that this is, already there in your heart, but you don't get to rush it. As much as I used to go out there for years, and I'm like, I'm ready, you guys. I know I'm ready. Throw more at me. I already had the contact. I knew they were going to be teaching me more.
Yeah.
And I was like, just tell me I'm ready. And they're like, we'll let you know when you're ready. And I'm like, no, I'm ready now. I'm ready now. And they're like, no, we will let you know when you're ready. You don't tell us when you're ready. We will tell you when you're ready.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely right.
So Beans' point it was very, very,
100%.
very, very good point, is that, the fact that you are asking and inquiring or whatever means that they are already reaching out to you, Andrew. So what was your other question?
I've always had a feeling of closeness with nature spirits, and even experiences as a child with little people. And I'm just wondering, sometimes I felt spirits of trees, and I'm kind of curious about the tree breaking and some of the things that go on, what's the relationship for them and the tree spirits with what, from my perception, seems like tree damage? Nothing compared to what man does, but when you're breaking trees or what have you, do the tree spirits have an opinion about this, or is it they're
Well,
all one and okay?
the only thing I can tell you on that is what they've told me. And I'm sure there's other people out there that know more than I do on that topic. You know, they're symbiotic with everything that's out in the woods to begin with. They have that connection. They're, you know, into the nature, they're into the earth and the trees and all of these things. But when they're doing the tree snaps and stuff, they're doing them for a reason. They want to send a message to you, or they're snapping them to send a message to another clan or whatever. And I think it's important to realize that not necessarily are they trying to hurt something or destroy something, but it's a form of communication with them. And as much as they may love us, and some of us, and a lot of us, millions of people, have a very loving relationship with them, at the end of the day, they will come first. Okay. Like with my guys, I know, and I've watched them protect me against other things. And I've been there when they've saved my life. But if it's going to come down to me or them, they are going to take care of themselves first, just as we would. You know, and there's some that have put great sacrifice of themselves to protect us. But when it comes to, you know, an absolute, they're going to die or we're going to die, not all of them are going to sacrifice themselves for it. So when they're using these trees for communication, you know, it could be something as simple as, you know, some of the trees are still alive. A lot of the, you know, deadfall, they'll snap in that. Some of them are still alive. You know, why are they using a live tree when they get along so well with it? It could be that they connect on a different level with the tree. It's still a living, breathing organism. I mean, it's still an energy being. It's still alive. It could be that they feel that that sacrifice is worth the message that they're getting out. I mean, I don't truly know the answer to that question, Andrew. I can tell you from what I've seen and what I've learned. I mean, Mike, would you know more on that?
I would say that some of the tree snaps that are real loud are not tree snaps. They have the ability to
Oh, yeah.
to transmute that
Yeah.
sound from another time or another area, and they just want to wake you up. They're so because I've heard dozens of stories where people say we heard these tree breaks and a tree crashed down, and then we went back the next day and nothing was gone. It was a
Oh,
message.
absolutely.
It was a
What
message.
what I'm referring to are the actual snaps where you go and find them.
Yeah, but
I'm not
snapping a
talking
branch,
about-
snapping a small branch isn't going to kill the whole tree, is it?
No, it's not. They're not killing off the tree. You know, but
So,
I've seen
you
where
know.
they've literally knocked a tree down or they've put it upside down. And usually the ones that they're
Yes.
putting upside down like that are territorial markers. And those trees are pretty much dead anyway.
Yeah, I
But-
would agree. I would
Or
agree.
in the process of dying. But Mike's right. They don't, just because you hear a tree snap, that doesn't mean it's a tree.
No, they could put any sensory, audible,
Right.
or visual
what I was talking about is-
experience into your field of perception. if
Yeah.
you want.
But what I was
Uh,
talking about is when you actually find the actual breaks.
No, I know.
You know, so that they leave them as a marker, you know, for whatever reason or to show whatever they want to show.
Thank
So
you.
Andrew, stick around. If you have some more
Thank you.
questions, you can address them in a bit. But let's get on to Lori. Did
Hey,
you have
Lori.
a question or something, Lori?
You got your mic off.
Get your mic off.
Doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo. Still off, still off.
While Lori's doing that, I got to do one quick thing, you guys. I'll be just a second. I promise I will hurry.
Okay.
I
okay.
actually have to do this.
What,
This is a free range Zoom.
I think that's
Yeah,
a nice way of
don't
saying she
leave,
has to
Lori.
tinkle.
That's it.
Ladies tinkle, you know.
I did not know that.
They do. Lori, I've asked you to unmute your mic, so I'll try it again. It should be at the bottom left.
Yeah,
Maybe an X on the mute. Can you press?
I think she's froze up. All this energy, she froze up.
Oh, there he is. I thought you took off because you had your questions answered. All about you. Mr. Wellington.
No, my dog asked to go outside. That's the reason why she came over.
Oh,
And when she asks, you better do it. Otherwise, the next step is not good.
okay, I get you. I get you.
So, Lori, Robin.
Oh, she's gone.
Lor-
Maybe she'll come back.
Yeah, I think she realized. I think she realized she was. She realized she was locked up there.
Okay, so before,
Where'd Lori go?
well, she locked up and she couldn't get her mic working, so she's gonna try to come back. Okay, so it's my turn.
Okay, I'm sorry, you guys.
You had to tinkle, right?
I did. You know what? I get really dry throat. So I sit here and I drink soda when I'm talking. And I was sitting here and I was like, I was going to blow up.
Okay, my turn.
Okay.
And it better be better than Mr. Wellington.
How many books is he going to sell? That's the question.
Well, I'm gonna ask Robin to help me promote my book, actually. Would you do that, Robin? Would you
Of
put it in a
course.
few groups and
Always.
tell
Absolutely.
Igor to promote it, the world's most famous Sasquatch person?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll help you any way I can. You
Okay,
got it.
awesome.
No, Ari was, when we were talking to Kevin and they had, said the Bird's Eye clan, Ari's like, well, then we'll be the Bear Claw clan, like, and it just, the way he said it was like this competition.
Yeah, I think a bear is stronger than a bird. So, well,
Yeah. Now do you have a bear claw? Because he says you have a bear claw.
I do.
Okay. Because he says that's why he said the Bear Claw clan, because you have a bear
I got
claw.
it on a necklace with Doubles Club root too.
Okay. Well, that's why he said Bear Claw. And that might be the name of that clan. But I said, I've not heard of your clan. And he said, well, he has the claw of the bear.
There you go. So what is his message for us and what is his message for me?
Just peace. He says that you have a lot of love in your heart, that when you're around, he feels peace, he feels love, that he feels that he can communicate with you because of this. He feels no threat, that you're a brother to him.
Yeah.
That you're a brother to the clan, that he feels safe with you. His people feel safe with you.
Yeah. I would hope so, because that's the feeling we get together. Absolutely.
Yeah. He says it's very tranquil and there is a blending of nature when you're there with them.
What does that mean?
That's what I'm asking him. He said, and it's like two worlds collide when you're there, meaning our people and your people, their people and our people come together when you're there. It meshes.
Oh, that's really.
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's not in a bad sense. He said,
He
said the bridge, your bridge has already been built. So and that would mean that coming together, and the bridges, in their words, are the bridge is the coming together of all people. So
Laura's back.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, well, that's
so
well, I mean,
there,
that's what my
that
book's
bridge
all
is
about,
built.
and that's what they always have me talking about. So that makes 100% sense to me.
Yeah. Hey, Lori, welcome back.
Finally made it. Thank you.
I know.
Okay,
How
we're
are
going to get to
you?
you in a second, Lori, but now it's my
That's
turn.
okay.
How you turn? How you turn?
Now you're talking.
Better get Lori before she locks up again.
No, man.
No,
So,
I'm okay. My microphone was off. I had to go to settings and then I couldn't get back in the Zoom. So I'm good.
okay. Now they're saying that there's a special connection with them, you and pine cones.
With me and what?
You, them, and pine cones? Like, I know they use pine cones all the time, but they're telling me about these giant pine cones.
They
Like,
do a
do
lot
they
of stuff
leave-
with pine cones. Yeah, I see all kinds of piles of pine cones.
They're really being, I mean, they do a lot of stuff with the pine cones here too, but they don't always talk about the pine cones. They're being very specific with you and saying that what I'm getting is it's almost like a secret language between you and them and these giant pine cones.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever, but that's what they're
Well, I'm
saying.
going to pay more attention to it because I see a lot of pine cones. And I bet
They
you I'll
said-
go out in the woods today and there'll be a pine cone message. So
These
stay
are a
tuned.
big pine cone. Like, I don't know where you're at in Canada, but these are a big pine cone. These are not the, like the little tiny ones. These are big ones. And they said that it's a secret language between you.
So secret you don't even know about it.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like I said, I all I can tell you is what they tell me.
Okay. Anything
They
else?
said they-
before-
They said
Go
they
ahead.
reason for you a lot. Just that, the bridge between you and them is secure, it's strong, and it's already there. So the coming in that would mean the coming together of the people between their people and your people when it comes to you. That's already meshed. That's already cemented. No work needs to be done for that. Where
Okay.
like with everybody else, they're saying, the coming together, the people, we're building the bridges and this kind of thing. When it comes to you, that yours is done. And now you are being called on to help build bridges with others.
Okay. Let me ask you. Well, yeah, that's what I feel like. So let me ask you one more thing, because we're getting more people coming on. So I hope you can stay for the 2.5, like you said.
Oh yeah, I'm going to.
So I just wanted to ask, I mean, when I was writing my book, I mean, RE was, there he is. He's, ooh, there he is right now.
I can feel
I could
it,
feel
'cause
it.
I'm getting it
Yeah, I
over
could
here,
feel his
too.
hand guiding me or whatever. So I know that,
You know what?
I
He
know
must
that
be
the book,
happy.
what I put in the book is truth, according to them and according to me, Kevin. But what are they saying? Are they happy with
Yeah,
it?
and they must be happy with what I transferred over to you, because that how they can project love into your heart. I'm getting
Yeah.
like waves of it really, really strong from Ari right now.
Oh yeah, he's a big love puppy.
Yeah, like it feels like flutters in my chest. Like I love it.
Yeah, so I get it right across.
I'm
My
getting it.
whole head lights up, and then sometimes
Mhm.
I get it right across my chest.
That's where I'm getting it right now.
Yeah, that's one of their signature that plan anyway.
Yeah.
So anything else? And then we should move on to some other people. But
They just say that your connection will continue to grow, that your journey with them is not over. It's only beginning.
They're trying to tell you to not be so needy and greedy. That's what they're trying to tell you. You got it. You got this. No insecurity. You got it.
Oh my gosh.
hey, I got this. Okay. Anyway,
Okay,
so,
Lori.
even though this show's all about me, let's give some other people some airtime. So, Lori Barnes, do you have a question or what would you like?
I got some of those flutters too, by the way, from Ari.
Good.
But
Hey, he gets around.
yeah, a little bit of what I put in the message there. I haven't been able to get out in the woods and stuff. We have the snakes here, and
They're coming up to your house. They're coming up to the house.
That's what I wanted to know. I had a feeling they were.
Mhm.
Jake was scared to go out in the backyard at times, and
Yep.
but we have bears and cougars and stuff, and I didn't know what it was that was scaring them, and I wanted to know.
No, that's them, and they're coming up. They're not aggressive at all. They're the ones that are coming through right now. They're coming up to you for reasons that you and I have talked about before, and they want to make sure you're not alone. Lori, when in a clan, and like I don't want to talk about too much what we talked about before on air because that's personal, but I will say this: when in a clan, if one loses a mate, the rest of them come in and help take care of the one remaining. So this is part of that process.
Okay.
Okay. So this is not only out of respect and love for you, it's out of love and respect for Randy as well.
Okay. Is
And
it
know
his
that-
plan?
Yes.
I'm
And
sorry.
know that he is part of it. They've connected with him still, and he is aware of it. And it makes him very happy, and he loves you, he says. He's listening. He says he loves you.
They talking about Randy?
Yeah. Just so that people understand, I had never personally spoke with Lori. And when I had never spoke to Randy, I'm being honest, I'd never, like we'd answered on each other's posts very, very briefly. I had never had contact with him after his passing. I was contacted by Randy and I didn't know why. And then all of a sudden, Lori's post would pop up. And, you know, we see people on Facebook that have passed all the time, and it makes us sad. When I would see hers, it would make me cry. And I was like, okay, I'm an empath, so I'm getting more than just reading of a post. And so I was able to put those two and two together. And I did not want to interfere in her grief. I didn't want to force myself on anybody ever. I don't contact, if anybody knows me, I don't contact people. If people want me, they contact me because I don't ever want to intrude. I don't work like that. And so I would answer on her post, and I had put a couple of posts where I said, he loves you. And so finally she connected the dots and reached out to me, and we've had some what I feel are very wonderful conversations.
Yeah.
And I love you, sweetie. It makes me cry too, because I can feel Randy, even though I never knew him. I can feel him when I talk to Lori, because I get his feelings for her.
Well, we got some crying going on. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
That's
this
a good
happens
thing.
whenever Lori and I talk, this goes on, because I get Randy as well as Lori.
Well, the thing is, though, is that this, you know, we all know that. All of us know that this lifetime is just a drop in the bucket of eternity of lifetimes.
Yeah.
And whatever. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Randy's not really gone. He's just not with you in the physical right now. Oh, and I'm
No.
getting it up with
And-
energy. Oh,
And he's not going far.
ooh,
trust
I don't know
me.
if that was our, oh boy, am I ever getting hit up big time.
Yeah.
If that
No,
was
he's
Randy,
not
or
going
it
too
didn't
far
feel
from
like
her.
RE. It felt more, maybe it was Randy. But,
Well, I just got hit with Randy too, so it's very possible.
but you
And
guys,
the one Sasquatch said something. Do you have like a rocker or something, Lori?
Yes.
A rocking chair? Okay. They said that you were in the rocking chair and they thought you were crying, and they tried to push love on you.
Oh.
I don't know if you felt it or not, but they said you were in a rocking chair and they felt you were crying, and they wanted you to know that they love you and that Randy is near.
yeah, Lori. So Randy's not gone. Even
Yeah.
though it's hard. I mean, if my wife went or whatever, it'd be extremely hard. But we have to remember that, like I said, this is just a drop in the eternity of your lifetime. So you're going to be with him all through eternity, right? So
Right. I understand that.
Doesn't make it easier for now. But
I know. But
I'm doing pretty good. It's
hang on, just let me finish this point. So,
Sure.
but it's still better than thinking that you just go on the ground and you rot and then you never see them again. It's way better than that.
yeah.
You know, and I will say this, Lori, your energy is better than it was when it first happened.
Yeah.
There's like that little spark of you is still in there, so that you're doing better, babe.
Mike, we'll get to you in a second too. We'll get to you in a second, Mike. But okay, so Lori, go ahead.
Yes, I didn't think I was gonna get upset today. It was just that when she mentioned Randy was here, I couldn't, it just happens. But yeah, I'm getting a lot of tree breaks and stuff like that. And just when I was watching you guys, we were sitting outside and Jake just took off running for the woods. And there's one spot where he keeps going. And he's whining and stuff. He's on his cable, so he can't go in there because I'm worried about snakes and stuff. But sorry, Jake's the dog, Randy's dog. And I'm wondering if that is them, because I'm not totally trusting my own feelings yet about.
No, they said it's a guard. It's somebody's on sentry duty just to kind of keep an eye on you.
Okay. So it's not any other animals. That's what I.
Well, there's other animals that go through the property, yes, but what Jake's picking up is what they call a sentry, which is basically a guard. And what they're telling me is, and his name is, I'm trying to, I hate it because I make him spell it because I can't understand the pronunciation.
Oh yeah.
Kaya. They spell it with an I-K-A-H-A, like a Kaya. And out of respect for Randy's passing, they are watching you to make sure that nothing comes in to try to harm you during this time.
Okay.
That was definitely Randy, I think, that hit me up because it felt it
because
too,
he
right? It didn't feel like RE. It felt
Yeah.
No, that was Randy, because when I was talking to her, I got hit with it. And I know
I got hit big
exactly it was
time.
Randy because that's what he did to me when he first passed.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, and there's a personality and a signature in the energy. So
Yep,
because I
everything
haven't
has
felt
an
Ra-
energy
I haven't
signature.
felt Randy before, not like that, but I knew it was different. So
Yeah, I didn't even know.
I know.
First
That
started
was
with
funny.
me, so.
But Brian,
But
he
it
had a lot.
worked.
He had a lot of respect for you guys, so it doesn't surprise me that he did that because he really liked you guys.
you mean Mr. Beans and myself?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, likewise, it was mutual. Yeah.
Yeah.
He says he
Yeah.
kind of misses the ponytail, but other than that, you're okay.
That is so him.
That's exactly what he just said.
Don't worry, Randy. I'm growing it back. I don't know what happened. Somebody just said my beard looked scruffy, like I had it all. And then I just went in, get the beard trimmed, and I ended up cut the whole damn thing.
I wondered if you got a cutter, if it was pulled back, because last time I saw you, it was just beautiful, your hair. It was.
Oh, don't say that. Now you're making me really sad I did it.
I'm sorry. But yeah, the last time I saw you, just the length and it was freshly combed. It looked like and everything, and I'm like, oh, his hair looks beautiful, or handsome, I should say.
I
Well,
think Jake's doing better too, because when Randy first passed, I didn't even know they had a dog. I mean, this is how I did not know anybody. And Randy was the one that was concerned about the dog. And
Yeah.
so I had reached out to her. I'm like, well, he's really worried about this dog. And I'm giving her the description of the dog. And she's like, well, yeah, he's laying right here. His name is Jake. And I'm like, well, he's worried about him.
He's right next to me right now. And when I started crying, he was all, oh, you know, getting.
And Jake sees Randy. Randy hangs out there all the time. So, I mean, Jake sees him.
Does he still? I hadn't felt it much, so I didn't know. But
no, he's still there. They eventually start drawing that energy back, because you have to, if they keep all their energy still on you, what they can muster up, you're never going to move forward.
Right. I can see.
They can be there around you, but they will. My best friend's going through the same thing.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, I don't feel him as much. And I'm like, I know he's there. I can see him and I can feel him. But the stronger his energy stays on you, if it's all the time, not just once in a while, but all the time, you're not going to move forward in your life.
Yeah.
And just because you're not feeling it doesn't mean he's not there.
Yes. Okay. That's good to know.
Laura, could you tell us the story about how your husband got taken into portals twice? Was that your story?
Yeah. I had a stroke back about 15 years ago. So my memory is really bad. So I forget details and stuff, but I have pictures actually of him in the, not of him, but of inside the portal. He had one he called Mama. That was his protector. And when he was out in the woods one day, and he just obviously got touched by her on his, I think he said on his shoulder or on his head. And he was out like that. But she downloaded a lot of information to him. And I don't think it was that time, but one other time he was in the woods walking, and all of a sudden, I don't remember what he said, if he recognized it or what, but he was all of a sudden in this portal. And he knew he was in the portal, but you can't get out of the portal unless you know the way. And us, we don't know the way to get out.
Can I ask you a question, Lori?
Yes.
Let her finish her story.
No, this is part of what she's saying. Why? How did he know he was in a portal? What is the difference in perception or whatever?
It was exactly the same as here, but it was really different. In the pictures, it looks really creepy. The picture, I only have one. It looks really creepy. It looks like, I want to say like spider webs like hanging over everything or something. That's just what it looks like in the picture. Not that that's the way it is, but that's what the picture showed. And just really creepy. There's a head poking out from behind a tree and stuff. And he says it's the same as here, but it's just really different. So that's all I can tell you.
Okay.
If he told me more, I'm sorry, I don't remember. he told me so much stuff, and I forget details. So, but he had to have a Sasquatch actually showed him out of how to get out of there, because he couldn't find the way out without them.
Yeah.
But it's like they were right alongside him the whole way.
See, that's what
And-
they did with me. That was the only
Yeah.
reason why I knew where to get out at.
Yeah, they were like showing it to him. And I don't know why. He didn't say why or anything, but he was on a lifelong learning process. I mean, for 40 years, he was trying to figure it all out and trying to interpret their glyphs and everything. You know, he was going through languages and just all kinds of stuff from the past, you know, the Bible, everything, trying to figure it out. So that was part of their teaching him, I guess, but I don't know exactly what happened. The second time he said it was pretty much the same as the first. But those portals are out there. We just don't know where they are. The Sasquatch do, but
You can find them if you can read the energy,
oh, okay.
because there's just an immense amount of energy in them.
Do the
Okay.
Sasquatch have a message, or Randy have a message for Lori before we move on to Mike?
Wondering if the Sasquatch had anything for me.
He says, "I love you, babe. Don't give up. We're going to be together again."
I love
Aw.
you too.
That's sweet.
Thank you.
And the Sasquatch said, "Do not be afraid. You will not be alone. We will be beside you."
That's
Am I safe to go out? Am I safe to go out in the woods, because I don't have anybody to go out there with me, and it's different here in West Michigan.
Yeah, the ones in West Virginia, you've got a lot of things out there. I don't feel that you're in danger from the Sasquatch, but there are some other things that are running that you need to be cautious of. Like, you
Uh-huh.
can be out in the woods. I would not be going way deep in the woods, Lori, and it's not because of any fear of them. If
No,
they're
I'm not-
around if they're around at the time, I feel like they would offer some sort of protection for you. But you
Uh-huh.
have a lot of things that are out there. Virginia can be a little bit tricky.
Mhm.
In some of those conversations we can have offline, but
Okay.
because it can get me in trouble, but
Right.
I'm already in enough trouble. But I'll tell you what, love it when you get visitors from people that don't give you names and say, "I'm here to make sure from now on you make good choices." And I'm like, "And you're here why?" "Well, you don't need my name." I said, "Well, what's the phone number of your organization?" "Oh, you don't need a number." Love those kind of people.
Oh,
But
yes.
anyway, it's not going to change what I do. So I guess it is what it is.
Isn't it really
But
comfortable?
anyway,
Go ahead.
huh?
I was gonna say, isn't it really comfortable because I could feel Randy and you felt it. I mean, it's so comfortable to
Oh,
know.
it's amazing.
It's just,
amazing.
it's like proof without, it's kind of hard to explain it to somebody who wants proof to some people's definition, but to us, it's proof that we go
Yeah.
on, right? And that these people,
Yeah. And the thing of it is a lot of this stuff, I mean, I want to say 90% of this stuff, you can't prove it. There's no way
Right.
to prove it. And you have to go on blind faith. And the only way you can get really any proof is when it's verified, or, like when I was talking to Kevin and I'm like, they're talking about their clan is the bird's eye. And he's like, "Oh, I'm getting a lot of bird noises, And Ari tells me, "Well, he's the bear claw because you have the claw of the bear." And you're like, "Well, yeah, I do have the claw." So you get those little verifications along the way. And I think sometimes that's the best we can hope for. I mean, I wish I could prove it to everybody easier, but I kind of moved past the even proving it stage. It's like, if people believe it, okay. If they don't, I can't change it. I'm not going
Right.
to lie about it. All I can tell you is what I've learned and what they've told me.
yeah, it doesn't bother me who believes me or doesn't believe me.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
The people who do believe it get something from it. That's all.
Yeah.
So is there anything more for Lori before we move on to Michael?
No, I think it's pretty good. I think it's all positive.
Yeah.
I think we found some verifications, like with the rocking chair that they said they watched you in, and, feeling Randy, feeling them, just, the things that they've said. I mean, if you have any questions, I'm happy to try to answer. I don't promise I can always answer a question. I can try. That's all I can do.
Did you have one specific question, Lori, before we move on to Michael?
Please, yes, one more.
Yeah,
Are they?
no rush.
What of the noises that I'm hearing are them? Can you tell me that?
You've got whistles, you've got bird calls, you've got tapping on the windows, you've got what sounds like somebody walking outside, shuffling through the grass. You've got your snaps, that kind of thing. A feeling that you don't feel like you're by yourself, like there's somebody watching you. That's
That's
almost.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I
Thank
hope
you
that
guys
makes sense.
so much. I really appreciate you putting me on.
Yeah. Thanks, Lori.
Take care,
Stick
Lori.
around.
Yeah. Great
Stick
to see you
around.
all.
Michael,
Okay.
call Antonio.
Hi, Michael. How are you today?
Hey guys. So I just kind of wanted to ask you, you said something earlier that really, well, a lot of things earlier that really struck a chord because it's like, it's almost identical to a lot of the things that come through for me. And the one thing that really stuck out that was so close to what happened to me that I haven't heard anyone say before was, and it was like 3 years ago, 4 years ago as well, but they were like, oh, you're going to be an ambassador between peoples and you're going to take messages and we're going to give you stuff and you're going to put it out there. And I said the same kind of thing. I said, you got the wrong guy. Like, I'm shy. I'm not trying to be like this. I don't think you have the right person. Like, and it was
Well, may I
just,
ask
it was,
you a question?
Yeah.
At any time, have you seen a reddish color Sasquatch? Because he watches you a lot. His name is Araheim.
I have not, I don't think I've, I
Okay,
don't
well,
think I
he
have.
watches you a lot. He says he's the one that's tried to connect with you multiple times.
Okay.
And he's like showing me in a tree line of him watching you. He's one of the ones that has more of the conial head. He's actually quite large. I would say he's a good 12 foot.
Yeah, there's one that I called Bubba, and then now he had a son a couple of years ago, and he said his name is Janus. At first, I thought they were saying Janus, but that's when I, like what you said earlier, I said, can you please spell it out? And I realized it was Janus. Yeah, and but yeah, so because sometimes it's just so confusing.
It is, and I don't think I ever, a lot of times I may not pronounce it correctly either because their way of speech is, you okay, big guy? I have a very old dog that has asthma and he gets like this now and then. A lot of times because of their vocal range, they have a bigger range than we do. And they speak from a different part of the throat and the neck. And so their pronunciation is different than ours too. So, I don't claim to always get it 100% right. I do the best I can do with the pronunciation.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it.
Hey, Michael, let me ask you, how did you get the message that you were an ambassador? How did that come across for you?
It came, through telepathy or mind speak, however you want to,
Yeah.
everyone reinvented the wheel. Yeah, everyone reinvented the wheel.
You have really good heart energy. Like it radiates, just even to see you on camera, it radiates from your chest. Like I can physically see it. It's really good. They're probably thinking that as an ambassador, you're going to help with this whole bridge thing. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to help people connect with them and understand what kind of people they are and how to spread that message of how to have contact with them in a respectful manner. We automatically assume that people that are contacted know how to behave around them or know how to have good contact. There's a very large difference between good positive contact and negative. Positive contact will last you a lifetime and teach you a great many things. Negative contact will be short and fleeting and give you a bad reputation with them. And that's not something that you would want. In your case, what I'm being told, for what it's worth, is that you're on a path to learn about the positive connections, so that the positive connections that you're learning, you're going to spread that message to other people. And that's what they're referring to. Right.
You're right on the money, because I have never had a bad experience with them. I have never been able to, I hear people say they had bad experiences, but even when it's something like I had a rock tossed at me, I don't put a negative spin on it. Like I've never had that monster, that people speak of, or that that
Well,
I've never had it, and
the
it's
whole
not
rock
my
thing,
journey or my story, you know.
I'm so thrilled you brought even that up because, and a lot of people know this, some people don't. For those that don't, depending on the size of the rock is depending on the intent.
Yeah.
When you
Okay.
get the small little pebbles that they toss at you, that's
Yeah.
kind of like somebody playing around going, ha ha ha, we're here,
Right.
trying to
Yeah.
get your attention, but they're doing it at a safe distance so that they can't be harmed. And they're
Right.
testing to see if whether or not you're going to do something that could be dangerous to them or their families. So the
Sure.
little rocks, that's not a big deal. They used to, with my 5-year-old granddaughter, they would roll little tiny, she's not 5 anymore, she's
Yeah.
almost 17, but they would roll these little rocks out of the woods to her and she would roll them back. And it was a game.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
would go out in the woods with them and I would know they were there. And some of them would be like walking around where I could see them. And then other ones would be like, and the kids would show, you know, the little tiny rocks. And I would get them, I'm like, okay, I know you're there already. And then I would hear laughter.
Yeah.
So when you get to the medium-sized rocks, that's telling you, hey, this is our way of saying we really would prefer that you turn around, go back where you came from. You're not
Yeah.
welcome in the area that you're trying to be in right now. This is not a good idea. They could have children there. They could be hunting there. They could have a meeting there. You
Yeah.
could be just getting close enough to them where they're feeling uncomfortable. And that's your
Yeah.
medium-sized rock. There's no threat as far as they're going to
Mhm.
hurt you. To begin with, when they throw something, their aim is 100% game on.
Right on target. Yeah, that's what
They
I try
do
to say
not miss.
too. If,
So if you're getting,
once you see one, I always say it's like if I was to throw a rock at a toddler from 5 feet away, I wouldn't miss, you know, and that's
Yeah.
where I would try to say, like, you have to put a perception on it that if they wanted to harm you, they would have. So,
Yeah.
right.
you know,
So when you get these medium rocks and they're thrown off to the side of you, that's not an intention to hurt. That's not aggression. That's the same equivalent as if you said to, you know, your kids are out on a playground and a stranger's coming too close and you're like, kids, I want you to move away from that person. Now, when you get the big boulders, and by that time, you've ignored the other signs. I'm sorry. There may have been subtle signs and you didn't realize they were there, but you've ignored those. Now they're mad and it's a defense. You know, I mean, they have to have some form of defense. They don't want to kill you. They want you out of their area because you're not welcome there.
yeah.
And you've
It's like
now
it's
ignored
the last
every other
ditch effort.
sign. Yeah.
And it's
The
not
last ditch
necessarily a
effort
bad
to
thing.
get your-
It might just mean
No.
that there's sensitive stuff going on and they don't want you there. Not welcome is kind of like, we don't like you, but it's not that necessarily.
No, I've had them. I've not had the large rocks thrown at me, but I've worked with several people that have gotten those and they were so surprised because they're like, we have such a good relationship. And I'm like, no, don't take it that way.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
something else out in the woods that day besides them, and it could have killed
Right.
you.
Right.
Like they
There's a
did that for
reason
your
why.
protection.
Yeah.
Not everything is an act of aggression. Not everything is trying to be mean. And they are an extremely compassionate being. They really are. These are a type of people that care greatly.
It also depends on how you interpret it too. Like when I get a little rock going on the path in front of me, it's like you said, Robin, highway here. It's a kind of a greeting. But other people will interpret it like, you know, they'll grab their gun and it's like, it's on,
Right.
you know, like,
Mhm.
you know, like they
Yeah.
just go right to the fear thing or whatever. So it's
Yeah.
also how you interpret it. I just wanted to make one
Yeah.
more comment on their accuracy. I mean, they're obviously very accurate when they throw these rocks, but they can also, and I know from a few experiences that I've had, that they can be cloaked right beside you and they can just go boink and throw
Oh,
it right
yeah.
over your shoulders and whatever. So they can be right behind you and just, you know,
They'll
you'll see it coming
close
right.
and walk up behind me and tap me on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
they'll be cloaked and they'll come up and they're playing with my hair. I had one time that came right up behind me and took a little tiny acorn and just dropped it on the top of my head. I wasn't under a tree. There was no wind. I mean, it didn't, you know, and I could
Yeah.
feel their energy come up behind me and they just dropped it on my head.
Yeah. Did you have any more questions, Michael?
No, I mean, you know, I could go on all day, but you know, I just wanted to say this show was a breath of fresh air today, and you know, I appreciate you
Thank
guys.
you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's nice to see people just be you know, follow their own path and their own journey and not, you know, just kind of like fall into suit with what they think, you know, is acceptable or what should be, or, you know, and whatever. It was just a breath of fresh air. And I just
Well, if
want
you
to say
ever
thank
want
you
to
guys.
talk, Michael, I'm on Facebook under Robin Haynes McCray. You're welcome
Okay.
to reach out to me anytime. I'd love to talk to you.
Well, I
Absolutely.
think, Michael, we were discussing this before you came on the air, but you might have heard it. I think that if you're an ambassador or representing them or whatever, it's your obligation, and it's the honorable thing to do to talk freely and openly about them, and don't sugarcoat it or water it down just because you don't think people are ready to hear it. You have to speak the truth, and be damned with those who don't believe it. That's on them, but it's your responsibility to represent them in an honest, forthright manner.
Yeah.
It
And
can, it can
Michael,
be tough sometimes because I'll get a personal message that's not meant for everyone, but I know it'll be helpful to everyone. And those are the ones I really struggle with. But but the trust builds so much more when I keep it, you know, when I don't.
yeah.
So
And if you do look for me on Facebook, there's Robin McCray. I'll never get that. I'm under Robin Haynes McCray.
okay.
So if you do it under
cool.
just Robin McCray, you'll never ever find me.
Okay.
That
All
one's buried deep.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I can't even get to it. I created the account and then I couldn't find it. And so I can't even get on the bloody thing to deactivate it. So I had to, nobody knew who I was because I had gotten married. So I went to go change the name and it wouldn't let me change the name. I had to create a whole other account. I couldn't get in that one. And so it's just out there in Facebook land.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's under Haynes McCray.
Did you want to do
Okay,
something
cool.
on Mr. Beans, or is he even interested? Want to hear what your Sasquatch is saying about you?
I'm not needy, but if you're getting messages, then I'd love to hear them.
Oh, wait a minute. That's a judgment thing. You're insinuating that we are needy.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that one of the agreements that I have with the Sasquatch people is to not grab or question, just to let them do whatever they want to do when they want to do it. To me, that's cool with me.
No, I appreciate that. That's a
They
good.
said,
I
Mike,
understand that.
But you are greedy.
Yeah, absolutely.
that you are a trusted friend and a leader of the people, that you lead people on their spiritual path of where they're to go, and you represent them well, and that you are and will be forever a friend and brother.
That's sweet. Yeah, they say thank you, and I love them back. Yeah.
You just did.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, they knew that before you even said it.
Yeah.
Well, the wonderful thing about Mike is, and this doesn't take anything away from anybody else, but he covers more than even just the cryptids when he goes into the whole ET thing. And that's really refreshing because he has a very vast knowledge of it. And he's so balls on accurate that it's mind blowing, you know, and I love it when he speaks because he radiates that confidence because of a knowing that he's correct. He's not trying to put on airs. He's not trying to persuade anybody. It's coming from his heart with information that he knows is accurate. So I have a lot of respect for that.
Me too. And I would concur with that.
We
But
love
don't
you,
tell him.
Bean.
Don't tell him that. Well, Robin, do you have to vamoose, or are you?
No, I'm okay for right now. I don't even know what time it is.
We're 2.5 hours now.
I'm okay. I'm okay for a
I'm
few more
gonna
minutes.
I'm gonna make my way into the crowd, into the audience.
Okay.
Thank you,
Hey,
guys.
Michael, by the way, when are we ever going to get you on the show? I've been trying to get you on.
Yeah, I know. I kind of flaked there. So whenever I'm free right now. So
And he just froze up. So
we could talk
yes.
afterwards if you want.
Okay, man. Yeah.
I'll message you. Okay, cool. Sounds great.
Thank you, man. Thanks for stopping in. Nice seeing a face to the. Nice seeing you.
You too, bro. Thank you.
One second.
Anybody else have any more, anything else for Robin?
Could I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Sure, sure.
It's kind of personal, but I have a pacemaker defibrillator in my chest.
Okay.
So I've been concerned about the magnetic electric field energy. And there is a company that makes clothing that's, quote, copper infused to block EMFs. Would wearing that do anything to help protect battery depletion, or should I not go in the woods?
I don't ever tell anybody not to go in the woods, but I do think you, in my own opinion, I think that you have a valid concern. If I were you, you're wanting that more contact and everything else. Now, whether or not the copper infused things, I don't know enough about that kind of thing to know how much it would help. I would say try it. I mean, what are you going to be out? You're talking about your life here. Another thing that you can do that a lot of people don't realize you can do is when you go into the woods, you can ask them to pull back the energy shield. They radiate that energy to begin with, and they also have an energy shield that encompasses around that. Not all of them will pull it back because it's like a safety net, but some of them will. And because of your health issues that you have, I would not be going deep into the woods. I would go like in the front part of the woods, like we were talking earlier, have that bonfire, invite them to come to you and tell them, due to health, please, if you could draw back some of that energy, that would be very helpful for my safety, and they're going to know that you're telling the truth. I mean, they are better than any lie detector test that there is.
Yeah.
So, that's what I would tell you to do.
Hey, Andrew,
Thanks.
have you had any personal experiences yourself?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Not visually, but energetically. Before I had heart problems, I spent a lot of time in the Jefferson National Forest in the mountains of Virginia. And there were particularly some pine groves that I felt a lot, and was really my favorite sound is whispering pines. And I felt a lot of energy being there, of not being alone. And for a while, I wasn't sure what it was. Nature spirits, Native Americans who had been there before. This is a hunting ground that had been popular with the Shawnee and centuries ago. So yes and no. I have had an experience with another cryptid, but that was this childhood. And
You want to tell us that one?
it was a goat boy
Wow.
who,
Let's hear about that.
well, he was hiding behind some trees, and I said hello, and he was like, mind conveyed to me, you can see me, and was kind of freaked out by it. And interaction, but it didn't last long. But I didn't know what he was. And later on, when I was older, I saw a picture of Pan, and that's what he looked like.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Pan's a real cryptid. There's a real thing called Pan.
Well, I think a lot of these cryptids that you see in the movies and stuff, they all came from somewhere. I mean, they did. I mean, not that people can't create things in their own mind, but I think 9 out of 10, I agree with scenes, because a lot of them, they actually were out there.
Well, our first incarnation, our first descent into Earth was into the land, into the time of Pan. That's from the time of Pangea. And and we were much more ethereal beings. And there are people who retained the ability to connect to Pan. It's one of the great heaviness of humanity's hearts, is that we lost Pan. Pan died, right? So it was finished. We were evicted from Pan, and then it was Lemuria, and then Atlantis, and then, the kind of where we are now. So there's great connections there for everybody with Pan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kevin, do you have anything, or Mr. Wellington, do you have anything more to say?
He's on mute.
We like him that way.
Yeah, I know you do, Brian. Like you just talk. No, I really don't. I actually sent you a message, Robin. I don't know if you got it.
I haven't, but I will definitely look at it.
Okay. I
Do you want
didn't
me
get a
to
chance to.
know, or?
No, actually, I don't. I just wanted to say how much I appreciate you doing that for me. Thank you. I didn't get a chance
no
to say
problem.
that before the conversation was
And
going.
anytime you want to chat, I would love it. So, don't be a stranger there, big guy.
Oh, I won't. I don't tend to be, unless I've got something to say or not something to say, right? I tend to just become pretty focused and independent and forget to reach
That's
out.
what they say. That's why that cat one likes you so much.
Anyway, thank you so much.
You are so welcome. I think I'm going to go ahead and pop off because
Okay.
it's kind of like at a good point to do it since there's no more questions popping up. I thank you guys so much. I hadn't been on in a while and I loved it. I always have a good time with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we always have a good time, right?
Yeah, always.
Okay, so this is a wrap then, everybody?
Yep. I
Yeah,
gotta go too.
sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Okay,
Oh,
so
thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. And I love it. Laurie, love you.
so on
Love you too.
behalf
Kevin, stay in touch.
so on behalf of Port Cunningham and the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Beans, this has been the Pork and Beans Show. Thank you to our special guest, Robin McCRAY. Robin McCRAY. They're like Elmer Fudd. Robin McCRAY.
Oh my goodness.
Wow, but how did that come out? Our special guest, Robin McCRAY, a perennial interloper, Beef Wellington, Lori Barnes, Andrew, Michael Colantino, Deb Matthews, who just kind of popped in. I don't know what she was doing, but anyway, thanks to everybody.
She had an appointment. She's listening in the peanut gallery.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for having me. It was wonderful as always.
Yeah, and we'll have you back again because it's always.
Always. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
I love the snow. Don't you know? I want to be old blade. All the buttons coming down. Taking my time. Hot and high, hot and high, hot and high. For the tummy, oh my, love a big old plate of pork and beef. Goody, 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 goody. Love it, in the tummy. Love baby, love high, love ooh, love why. I love me some bottom way. Don't you know you gotta need that feed. You got to have some pork and beer. Pork and beer. I better holla bottom way. Yo, mashed potato. Oh, have it now, don't wait for later. Hot and high.